Chapter 624. Xiao Han never thought that after refining the purple immortal key, benefits would appear one after another. Now Xiao Han could actually see the situation of the treasures in the danshians of all the immortals in the area through a sliver of Immortal Emperor Judao's soul sense. Xiao Han read the names, attributes, and functions of the couple's Dharma treasures, which were within the range of his psyche fluctuations. It was as if he was reading the patterns on his palm. Soon the couple came to an agreement. The female immortal would come forward to seduce the other immortals and then assassinate them. With a flash, the couple vanished with astonishing speed. Throughout the entire process, Xiao Han held his breath. He pushed the spirit turtle True Chi to the limit and hid himself perfectly. He was not discovered. After the two immortals vanished, Xiao Han's thoughts settled down and he began to think about some problems. After learning about the second benefit that he had obtained, an idea suddenly flashed through Xiao Han's mind. In the fourth area, everyone is an immortal apart from me. I can't use my demon chi, so I basically have no advantage against these guys with superior immortal arts and divine abilities or even immortal artifacts. If I have to talk about an advantage, it's that I can deceive immortals as a mortal and make them lower their guard. In other words, I can show weakness to the enemy and then launch a sneak attack. That way, I might be able to counterattack and kill the immortals, but it can't work every time, right? And it's a risky move. If I make a mistake, I'll be injured at best or killed by the immortals at worst. TSK, I don't want to let those immortals benefit. Once they kill me, the jade tablet of Immortal Emperor Judao's inheritance in my body will burst out. The second benefit, reading the magic treasures in the immortals' danshians, I have to make use of this. It seems like a very useless benefit, but Xiao Han's eyes darted back and forth rapidly for a few times. It seems like a useless method, but if I use it well, it can be very useful. Seeing the treasures in the danshians of other immortals, Xiao Han slapped his forehead. This way I can assassinate some immortals with a purpose and obtain the treasures I need from them. Then I can use these treasures to increase my battle strength and kill other immortals. What kind of treasure can increase my battle prowess? Xiao Han pondered. He went deeper and deeper. An elixir that can increase one's strength? For example, to increase my mental force or refine my immortal body. I wonder if other immortals have such pills in their dantian. If they do, I'll kill them and obtain them. Then I'll refine the restrictions on the surface of these divine pills. After that, he would consume it and then cultivate. This was extremely time-consuming. The preliminaries would last for 100 days. After 100 days, the number of immortals remaining in the region would be determined. If it was more than 100, that would be the entire region. That's why I'm trying not to waste any more time. An immortal artifact magic treasure? Immortal artifacts and magic treasures all have different attributes. Wait a minute. If I obtain a magic treasure that can increase my strength or speed, then I can indeed double my combat power in a short period of time. Power? Speed? Xiao Han's eyes grew brighter and brighter. In fact, I'm already very strong in terms of strength. My fleshly body has a defense of 40 immortal dragons. Speed. If I can improve my speed and strength, I'll have a better chance of killing an immortal. That's right. Xiao Han's current speed was extremely fast, but it was still slightly slower than the immortals' movement techniques and immortal arts. If Xiao Han's speed could increase by a few times, then he could kill immortals by surprise and escape without being able to lock onto him. After much thought, Xiao Han finally had an idea. If possible, I'll selectively kill an immortal with a speed-type Dharma treasure, then fuse it into my dantian and gain the power to refine it. Then I'll gain full control of the Dharma treasure and increase my speed to deal with tens of thousands of immortals. As for the jade token of Immortal Emperor Judao's inheritance, it's not something that can be refined by killing 1 or 2 immortals, or even 200 or even 1 or 2,000 immortals. Therefore, even if I obtain the refining power now, I won't use it to refine the token. My first priority is to increase my battle strength. Just as Xiao Han was thinking hard about how to fight for the top spot in the 4th region, his mental force fluctuated again. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 immortals flew to the area where Xiao Han's mental force was monitoring and landed at the place where the immortal couple had been standing. The 3 immortals were all men. After landing, they did not seem to be in a hurry to leave. Instead, they began to whisper to each other. Xiao Han did not dare to be careless. He quickly discarded all distracting thoughts and concealed his aura. At the same time, he was closely observing the 3 immortals. The 3 immortals were dressed very similarly. They all wore moon-white robes and carried a long sword on their backs. Their every movement was filled with sword chi and immortal force. They were all top-notch sword immortals. Moreover, the number of points hovering above their heads wasn't small. 100,014,001,600 inches. Other words, the total number of immortals killed by these three immortals was close to 40. Xiaohan was shocked in the cave. He used his mental force to observe their dantians and felt his scalp go numb. There were more than 10 magic treasures floating in each of the three-sword immortals' dantians. It was a feast for the eyes. However, among the dozens of immortal weapons, magic treasures, and spirit pills, there was no magic treasure that could increase the speed that Xiaohan needed. Since there's nothing I want, I'll hide like before and not show myself. I'll try my best not to fight these immortals head-on for the time being and preserve my strength. Moreover, there are 3 of them while I'm alone. I can't throw an egg at a rock. Xiaohan's mind was extremely clear. He would never act rashly. Moreover, Xiaohan was also aware of this. Once he exposed himself, he would be discovered by the 3 immortals. Then he would definitely be surrounded and killed. Xiaohan had no chance of winning against 3 sword immortals with sharp auras. Fortunately, the 3 immortals didn't seem to be thinking about anything else. They were conversing and it was getting more and more intense. "Junior brothers, don't say any more?" one of the immortals said with a tense expression. "Look at the situation now. It's very delicate. If we choose to cooperate with other immortals who have nothing to do with us, it's tantamount to asking a tiger for its skin. In the end, we might also be killed by them. Senior apprentice brother, you worry too much. The power of unity is strong. Unity means strength is strong," another immortal said. Tens of thousands of immortals fighting each other, leaving only 100 spots. It's too cruel. If we don't cooperate with other immortals, the 3 of us will most likely be eliminated in the end. That's right, senior brother. Look, the other immortals in this area have already formed some groups. Some groups? That's right, senior brother. Look, the other immortals in this area have already formed some groups. Some groups. The number of immortals is as high as 50 to 60. Even small groups are made up of a dozen or so immortals. Take that Xing Qinzi for example. He's gathered dozens of immortals and swept through his path. I don't know how many immortals he's killed, but he's gained a huge amount of points and refinement power. If this goes on, Xing Qinzi will soon be able to refine one of the magic treasures in his body. When that happens, he'll be even more unstoppable. Senior brother, more and more immortals will form alliances in the end. At that time, our living space will be greatly reduced until we're devoured by those groups. Senior brother, let's also choose a group to ally with. For us, there are only advantages and no disadvantages. Oh, so it's the 3 of you, senior brother and junior brother, discussing the matter of forming an alliance with other immortals? Oh no, there's already a certain number of immortals forming groups in this area. This is really bad news for me. I'm just a mortal. Even if I'm willing, there won't be any immortals willing to ally with me. Xiaohan cried out inwardly. The senior brother of the 3 sword immortals was extremely stubborn, his face livid. What's the point of forming an alliance? In the end, you'll still end up killing each other. Don't be fooled by superficial benefits. In this situation, no one is trustworthy. Don't even mention forming a group with other immortals. The 3 of us should unite as one. If you insist on going your own way and want to team up with other immortals with ulterior motives, then you can leave on your own. Sigh. Hearing this, the 2 juniors shook their heads in disappointment. Forget it. We'll do as you say, senior brother. We'll give up on the idea of forming a group, one of the junior brothers said. In truth I also. Roar. The 2 of you. Suddenly, an immortal sword appeared on the senior brother's chest. Without anyone noticing, the immortal sword pierced through his chest, pierced through his body and came out from his back. Immortal blood burst out. This happened so suddenly that even Xiaohan, who was spying in the cave, was shocked. Bang! The 2 junior brothers, each with a palm, sent the injured senior brother flying to the side. Bastards! You 2 bastards, how dare you attack me in spite of our friendship as fellow disciples? Damn it! Damn bastards! The senior brother spat out blood again and again. He had already lost the ability to fight, his eyes filled with anger and fear. Ah! Senior brother, it's all your fault for being too stubborn. One of the junior brothers laughed complacently. Do you think you're still the one in charge after descending? We've put up with you for a long time. Back in the sect, you've always been stubborn and self-opinionated. As junior brothers, which one of us hasn't been bullied by you? The more the junior brother spoke, the more agitated he became. He was also extremely angry. Senior brother, do you know why junior brother Qiu Hongzi and I teamed up against you? On one hand, it's because you don't know what's good for you. At this moment of life and death, You're still acting so arbitrarily and refuse to form a group with other immortals. Even if you want to die, we don't want to die with you. Also, how did you treat me back in the sect? I and junior sister Yin Kai were in love with each other, but you... The senior brother was covered in blood. His body twitched and the immortal light on his body grew dimmer and dimmer. He stared at his two junior brothers. But he didn't say anything. Let's do it. The other junior brother said to the complacent junior brother. Yes. The complacent junior brother walked step by step towards the senior brother and laughed wildly. Ah. Senior brother, you didn't expect this day to come, did you? Ah. How satisfying, how satisfying. However, at this moment something unexpected happened again. Pooh. A sword ray pierced the body of the complacent junior brother from behind. Ha ha ha. The other junior brother suddenly let out a wild laugh. Junior brother Chiu Hongzi. You. The expression of the complacent junior brother changed drastically, and his body trembled. Then he quickly fell to the ground and spat out blood. He looked at the junior brother who was sneering at him with an incredulous expression. Ah. Senior brothers, both of you didn't expect this, right? The junior brother Chiu Hongzi licked his lips. Junior brother Chiu Hongzi. You're too vicious. The fellow who was originally complacent shouted fiercely as he coughed up blood. Why did you do this to me? Our relationship has always been good, and this time, we plotted to assassinate senior brother. We also made an oath by high-fiving each other. We will not betray each other. Two senior brothers, I was thinking if I were to kill the two of you, how great would the points and refining power I would obtain. Chiu Hongzi took a deep breath. Killing one is killing, killing two is also killing. I clenched my teeth and did it. But now it seems that it was worth it. Xiao Han, who was in the cave, was secretly shocked. Damn it, each one is more vicious than the other. However, no. The senior brother who was injured first is secretly preparing a sharp sword energy. I can sense it with my mental power. Ah. It seems that this matter is far from over. Xiao Han's mental power sharply caught some clues. As expected, the senior brother who was injured and lying on the ground suddenly pointed with his right hand. A talisman suddenly burned and turned into a sword energy that shot out like lightning. Pooh. The sword energy instantly pierced through Chiu Hongzi's body. Chiu Hongzi's eyes bulged out. He screamed as he was thrown backward and he roared with unwillingness. Senior brother. I didn't expect you to have a trick up your sleeve. Let's die together. The three of us will die here together. None of us will be able to survive alone. That senior brother had used his remaining immortal force to ignite an immortal talisman at the last moment. His face was deathly pale, but he still smiled. Let's die here together. In the blink of an eye, the three sword immortals with abundant immortal force fought each other. They were all heavily injured and lay on the ground, vomiting blood. The scene was extremely quiet for a moment. Inside the cave. Good, very good. This is truly a pie that fell from the sky. Xiao Han suddenly stood up and stretched. In that case, I, Xiao Han, should make my move. Boom. Xiao Han jumped out and stood on the spot, looking at the three dying sword immortals with a faint smile. What? The three immortals didn't expect that there was someone hiding in the dark while they were plotting against each other. Mortal? Right, you're Xiao Han. The senior brother focused his gaze on Xiao Han. Little mortal, how dare you? How dare you spy on us in the dark? Little brother, you help me kill these two people. After this is done, we will cooperate. Chiu Hongzi quickly wailed to Xiao Han. The other sword immortal seemed to have noticed the hostility in Xiao Han's eyes. He tried to put up a strong front. Mortal, what are you trying to do? Don't tell me a mortal like you wants to kill immortals? You're just an ant. If you do anything out of line, we'll kill you 100 times, 1,000 times and make you wish you were dead. Ha 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 ha. Xiao Han burst into laughter. How stupid. You're already at the end of your rope. Even if you have peerless skills, you can't do anything to me. Kill me 100 times, 1,000 times, ha ha ha, I'd like to see how you're going to kill me. After saying that, Xiao Han's aura rose steadily. What are you trying to do? Chiu Hongzi said in terror. Kill all of you. Xiao Han didn't even think before he blurted out. P.S. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival, everyone. At the same time, I recommend a book. The author is Chen Xayan, and the title of the book is I Desire to Become a Demon. It's a very refreshing book and worth reading. I haven't been updating well these few days. My wife just turned 30 and I've been busy. Sorry. Chapter 625. Xiaohan's luck was indeed heaven-defying. Originally, Xiaohan was hiding in a cave on the side of the mountain, quietly observing the situation. However, three immortals just had to fight each other in the area where Xiaohan was hiding. All of them were heavily injured and on the verge of death. This way, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. If I kill these three immortals, I can easily obtain a large number of points, dozens of treasures, and a lot of refining power. When luck comes, I can't stop it. Xiaohan's mouth twitched and a strange smile appeared on his face. The murderous intent in his eyes intensified. The three senior and junior immortals were too clever, each more vicious than the last. But they never thought that they would ultimately fall in the hands of a mortal. They were extremely unwilling, extremely angry, and extremely terrified. How dare you? Puny mortals like pigs and dogs actually had the guts of a leopard and dared to attack immortals. You'll be punished by the heavens. Mortal, don't make a mistake. We're the elites of the younger generation of the immortal sections. Killing us is a great sin. Don't get yourself killed. Mortal, you're too stupid. That's right, we're seriously injured right now, but we can't be killed by a mortal like you. Our immortal bodies can't be destroyed by mortal attacks. Don't attack. If you attack, you won't be able to have peace for the rest of your life. You'll sink into oblivion. Idiot, you're still so stupid even before death. Xiaohan was completely unmoved. Suddenly, Xiaohan gathered the power of his immortal body to its limit and flew forward. His shadow flashed 3 times. Bang, bang, bang. 3 loud explosions. It was earth-shattering. Xiaohan was already using his fist. He forcefully smashed the heads of the 3 immortals. The headless immortal corpses. They fell to the ground weakly. However, right now, Xiaohan's demonic emperor left arm palm was sealed. Otherwise, Xiaohan wouldn't have wasted these 3 immortal corpses. He would definitely have devoured them. Meanwhile, shio, rays of multicolored light surged into Xiaohan's body. First, there were dozens of treasures. This was after killing the 3 immortals. The magic treasures that had fallen out of their bodies were all absorbed into Xiaohan's dantian. Therefore, in Xiaohan's dantian, there was originally only 1 inheritance jade plate. But now there were 43 more treasures. These magic treasures slowly circulated in Xiaohan's dantian, emitting a soft and misty light. They also released some of Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao's spirit sense. Of course, the quality of these magic treasures was different. It was obvious that it was far inferior to the Zhu Dao Immortal Emperor's inheritance jade token. Moreover, although there were many types of magic treasures, there were attack type, defensive type, and space type treasures, but none of them were speed type treasures that Xiaohan wanted the most. 1. The points above Xiaohan's head also skyrocketed. It jumped from 428 to 4,728 in an instant. Furthermore, 3 gigantic rays of light shot directly into Xiaohan's body. Xiaohan's body shook. Then he suddenly felt 3 streams of heat flow directly into his dantian. Xiaohan could clearly feel that these 3 streams of heat had the miraculous effect of melting the restrictions on the surface of the treasures in his dantian. The power of refinement. Xiaohan's eyes lit up. That's right. This is the power of refinement. Xiaohan completely understood. This power of refinement is like lava. It can completely melt the restrictions that Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao placed on the surface of the treasures. Finally, we can completely control these treasures. This is too miraculous. The 3 immortals that I killed just now were considered strong. Therefore, the power of refinement that I obtained is not bad. What was even more miraculous was that Xiaohan could use his spirit sense to guide the power of refinement that was wandering in his dantian and use it to refine any treasure in his dantian. Boom, 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 the 3 streams of refinement condensed into one in Xiaohan's dantian. It was scorching hot and scoured back and forth. However, Xiaohan was not in a hurry to use this power of refinement. With his spirit sense, he temporarily stored this power of refinement in a corner of his dantian. If I can accumulate more power of refinement and obtain a speed-type artifact, I can directly refine it and use it. Then I will have a bright future in the 4th district. Xiaohan licked his lips. At this moment, Xiaohan scanned the area with his spirit sense and discovered that a stream of immortal qi was approaching from afar. More immortals are coming. Xiaohan quickly gathered his thoughts and took out a storage ring. With a sweep, the immortal corpses and the various traces on the ground were all put into the storage ring. Then with a flash he once again hid in the cave on the mountain wall. Spiritual turtle qi gushed out and covered the cave, concealing his aura. Whoosh! With a flash of immortal light, An immortal clad in crimson armor descended from the sky with a spear on his back. This immortal had an impressive appearance and was extraordinarily handsome. However, there were not many points above his head. There were only 500 points, which meant that he had killed at most 5 immortals. I seem to have sensed the aura of an immortal's death in this place. The immortal's expression was solemn. Suddenly, a burst of red immortal chi burst out of his body and formed a defensive barrier around him. Then he looked around cautiously and reached out to grab something in the air. Sword chi left behind by a sword immortal. The air here has the charm of a sword immortal sword chi. Also, I can sense a few extremely resentful auras. An immortal must have died in this place, and it hasn't been long since they died. As he muttered to himself, the immortal released his immortal sense and repeatedly scanned the surrounding area. Soon, the immortal's immortal sense was focused on the mountain wall where Xiao Han was hiding. As expected. Come out. The immortal called out sternly. Silence. Stop hiding. I've already found you. Come out. The immortal sneered. His battle intent boiled. It doesn't seem to be the aura of an immortal. It's the aura of a mortal. How strange. Come out quickly. Don't attack. In the next moment, Xiao Han leaped out of the cave with a panicked expression. He stood there timidly, looking at the immortal in battle armor with an evasive gaze. Immortal. Immortal. You're truly remarkable. I hid so well, but you still found me. Oh? Immortal? This is the 4th district. A mortal had actually appeared? This is a freak. Xiao Han. You're that Xiao Han. The biggest winner of the Genius District. The immortal looked at Xiao Han from the corner of his eyes. However, he gradually relaxed his vigilance. I know that you have some tricks up your sleeve. You're invincible among mortals, but you're nothing in front of us immortals. You're nothing. He turned his head and suddenly saw the thousands of points above Xiao Han's head. What? You've obtained thousands of points? The immortal was terrified. In other words, there are at least a dozen mystical treasures in your Dantian. Just now, a few immortals were killing each other here. They were half dead from the fight. Coincidentally, I ran into them. I got lucky, Xiao Han said, swallowing hard. That should be the case. How could a mortal like you kill so many immortals and obtain so many points? The greed in the battle-armored immortal's eyes grew more intense, and his entire body began to tremble. He was so excited that he couldn't help but murmur to himself. The path of luck. It's truly the path of luck. I didn't really fight. I've been very cautious along the way, so the points and mystical treasures I've obtained are quite pitiful. Who would have thought I'd get such a windfall? This is great. A few thousand points and dozens of mystical treasures just like that. Could this be the sign of the rise of the Saint Warrior? The immortal did not seem to care about the timid mortal in front of him at all. It was as if he was about to obtain the points and mystical treasures on Xiao Han. However, at that moment, boom! A strong gust of wind pressed down on the immortal, and the space caved in. In the eyes of the immortal, he saw a fist suddenly enlarging. Just now, Xiao Han had feigned a wretched and fearful expression, but at the crucial moment, he suddenly attacked. He threw a punch. The ultimate strength of 40 immortal dragons. While the immortal was unprepared, the punch was like a meteorite crashing into the ground. A demon god descending from the sky. Bam! A single punch directly smashed into the immortal's completely unarmored head. Pfft. The immortal's head exploded like a watermelon. Shio, 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 rays of light flashed, dazzling. Points. Mystical treasures. The power of refinement. Xiao Han obtained all of them. So far, Xiao Han had obtained a total of 5,328 points. The mystical treasures in his body had accumulated to a whopping 50. Moreover, the power of refinement that he had just obtained was also quite impressive. After entering Xiao Han's Dantian, it merged with the power of refinement that Xiao Han already possessed. Xiao Han was not in a hurry to use the power of refinement. He stored it somewhere in his Dantian. The next moment, Xiao Han put the immortal's body and other miscellaneous items into his storage ring. Good. So far I've killed 4 immortals and gained a lot. However, I still haven't obtained the speed-type treasure I wanted. Among the dozens of treasures, there aren't many that are suitable for me. Xiao Han's thoughts drifted. I can't just sit here and wait for death. I'll take the initiative to go out and look around. If I encounter any immortals who are alone, I can try to kill them. It would be best if I can kill an immortal who has fused a speed-type mystical treasure in his Dantian. I'll get what I want. Xiao Han sorted out his thoughts, then activated his true qi and flew out of the area. While flying, Xiao Han was extremely careful, as if he was walking on thin ice, afraid of making the slightest mistake. Moreover, his mental fluctuations were highly condensed, spreading out in all directions to investigate. After flying for around several dozen kilometers, Xiao Han did not discover any traces of immortals. After circling around a mountain and passing by a long river, Xiao Han finally discovered a few immortals, or more accurately, a few corpses of immortals. There's been an intense battle by the river. Xiao Han immediately descended. With a single glance, he saw a total of 5 corpses of immortals. Their deaths were extremely horrible. An extremely intense battle must have taken place when they were alive. Xiao Han stowed the corpses into his storage ring without batting an eyelid. Afterwards, he continued on his way along the river. After traveling for around another dozen kilometers, Xiao Han's mind pulsed. There are a few immortals up ahead and they're currently fighting. Xiao Han's expression immediately became stern. Boom, boom, boom. Several kilometers away from Xiao Han, the sky was dyed scarlet. The glow of treasures surged into the air, and immortal qi rose into the air. There were traces of clashes between various immortal artifacts and various roars. There, mountains shook and the sound of space cracking rang out endlessly. There's an intense battle going on over there. Xiao Han licked his lips, then mobilized his spirit turtle true qi to conceal his presence. Moving his immortal body, he directly moved in that direction. Let's reap the spoils of war again. Xiao Han was greatly tempted. Very soon Xiao Han arrived near the battlefield. Space trembled. Waves of chaotic spatial fluctuations shook in all directions, causing the ground to crack. Xiao Han held his breath and hid behind a mountain forest. He sat down cross-legged and released his mental fluctuations. As expected, Xiao Han's mental fluctuations saw a few immortals fighting. There were a total of 9 immortals divided into 2 camps fighting each other. The battle was extremely intense. The 9 immortals were all injured, and their immortal power had been greatly depleted. A few of the immortals were already tottering, barely holding on. A battle between immortals was highly concentrated. Life and death hung on a thin line, so no one was distracted by Xiao Han's existence. Xiao Han's mental fluctuations completely enveloped the battlefield. Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao's divine sense seeped into the dantians of each immortal fighting. Very soon, the fused treasures in each immortal's dantian appeared one by one. It was clear at a glance, and Xiao Han felt like he was looking at the patterns on the palm of his hand. Xiao Han observed carefully, filtering the treasures one by one. Shockingly, Xiao Han saw a treasure fused in the dantian of a one-armed immortal. Boots of Divine Speed, a speed-type Dharma treasure that increases one's speed by 5 times. Speed-type Dharma treasure. I finally found you. Xiao Han almost blurted out a roar. In his heart there was a scorching heat. A 5 times increase in speed. This is too shocking. This is too shocking. To be continued? Chapter 626. After Xiao Han left the cave he was hiding in, he searched carefully along the way. Apart from finding several immortal corpses, he finally found immortals who were still alive in District 4. 9 immortals were engaged in a fierce battle of life and death. They each took out their life-saving immortal artifacts and attacked each other. The sky was dark and the earth was dark and limbs were broken. The battle between the 2 camps seemed to be evenly matched. Neither side could completely defeat the other. It was a fierce battle. Immortal blood was flowing like crazy. Almost every immortal who participated in the battle was exhausted. It was too tragic. The immortals' heart-wrenching screams, curses, and roars of anger were incessant. Xiao Han was sitting cross-legged behind a shaking mountain. His psychic wave was highly concentrated and covered the battlefield. The violent battle qi swept across like a hurricane, but Xiao Han sat there majestically, not moving an inch. Fortunately, Xiao Han's body was a special dual-attribute immortal body. If he was an ordinary person he wouldn't dare to get close to the battlefield. Otherwise he would be crushed by the aftermath of the battle. Even ordinary level 1 and level 2 perfected immortals wouldn't dare to come and watch the battle alone. The heavens are helping me. I actually found a speed-type Dharma treasure. Xiao Han was overjoyed. He had received some help from Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao, so he could see the Dharma treasures inside each immortal's dantian. This advantage finally came in handy. It allowed Xiao Han to have a targeted plan. Boots of Speed. Speed increased by 5 times. Now Xiaohan was determined to get the immortal who had the boots of speed in his dantian. However, Xiaohan wasn't impulsive. If he rushed out now, although the 9 immortals were at the end of their tether, they wouldn't be easy to deal with. After all, they were immortals. They might have Dharma treasures or trump cards that could be used to perish together with the enemy before they died. Xiaohan didn't want to take the risk. His psychic wave completely covered the battlefield, so everything was seen by Xiaohan. Just then, bang! Finally, in the fierce battle, a seriously injured immortal was killed by 2 other immortals, and his immortal body exploded. The moment the immortal's immortal body exploded, several rays of light darted out. The rays of light automatically shot into the body of the other immortal, causing the other immortal's magic treasures and points to skyrocket. The power of refinement also grew. However, before the immortal could react, a giant hand grabbed him from behind and crushed his chest. The immortal had already been killed by another immortal. The points, magical items, and power of assimilation had all been transferred to someone else. A chaotic battle. This was a complete melee. The immortal's eyes were completely bloodshot. In the span of a few dozen breaths, only 4 of the 9 immortals were left. The 4 immortals didn't stop there. They were still fighting each other, and they wouldn't stop until they were dead. Throughout the entire process, Xiaohan still did not make any moves, nor did he take any risks to attack. However, Xiaohan's psychic waves accurately gauged the remaining immortals' vitality and immortal power. If I rush out now and the 4 of them join forces against me, I might not be able to get away with it. Xiaohan was extremely calm. Wait for the best opportunity. Based on my psychic waves, these immortals have already lost their minds. They'll definitely fight to the end. Moreover, their immortal power is rapidly fading. I'll wait for the last surviving immortal. When the time comes, he'll take all the points and magic treasures of the other 8 immortals, and there won't be time to use the power of assimilation. That'll benefit me. Besides, killing an immortal at the end of his rope is as easy as flipping my hand. With his psychic power, Xiaohan was at ease. He patiently waited for the final battle of the 4 immortals. The development of the situation was exactly the same as what Xiaohan had imagined. After another bitter battle, only one of the 4 immortals survived. He was the final victor. However, it was a Pyrrhic victory. The last surviving immortal's left arm had been shattered, and there were several deep sword wounds on his chest. Immortal blood flowed uncontrollably, and his immortal chi was extremely dim. Cough. The immortal finally could not hold on any longer. He sat down on the ground and panted. There was a hint of cruelty in his eyes. Above his head there were tens of thousands of points. Xiaohan also noticed that there were more than 100 magic treasures in his body. Among them was the divine speed boots that Xiaohan was determined to get. Xiaohan used Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao's divine sense to see through the bodies of these immortals and see the situation in their dantians. Xiaohan saw that there were 9 streams of power of assimilation in the immortals' dantian. They surged like a river and quickly converged into one. Boom, boom, crazily scouring. This copious power of assimilation was so powerful that it seemed to be able to break through the restrictions on any of the magic treasures in his body. In the face of this power of assimilation, Xiaohan's heart was itching. His heart was burning with excitement. If I can obtain this guy's power of assimilation, in addition to my own power of assimilation, it'll be great. Xiaohan secretly licked his lips. The power of his immortal body gradually tightened and condensed. At that moment, the immortal who was covered in blood and had a ferocious expression let out a hoarse laugh. The laughter mixed with the sound of coughing was extremely terrifying, like the sound of a demon from hell. Ha ha, cough cough, ha ha. How tragic, this fight is so cruel. I didn't expect us immortals who ride cranes to be so crazy, to fight each other until one of us dies. I will never forget that fight, cough cough. I almost died, but, ha ha ha, I survived. Ah. Although I paid an extremely heavy price, the most important thing is that I survived. I plundered their points, magic treasures, and a huge amount of assimilation power. Ah. This way, I can choose to assimilate one of the hundreds of magic treasures in my body. Then, with this magic treasure, I can turn the tide. After a pause, the immortal's eyes were filled with ambition and aspiration. Forget it, I'll quickly hide and choose a magic treasure to assimilate. With the assimilation power in my body, it shouldn't be a problem for me to assimilate an ordinary magic treasure. Once I assimilate the magic treasure and recover from my injuries, I'll be able to go on a killing spree. Today's injuries are worth it even if I fight with my life. After muttering to himself, The immortal used his willpower to force himself to stand up. However, at that moment, you have a good idea. Although your injuries are very serious, what you've obtained is completely worthy of what you've sacrificed. Let's not talk about other things. The hundreds of magic treasures in your body are completely like a dream to a level 2 true immortal. Of course, whether or not you can protect these magic treasures and prevent them from being taken away by others is another matter. Hey, it's possible that you've made a wedding dress for others. A lazy voice suddenly echoed in the immortal's ears. Who is it? The immortal was scared out of his wits. He had never imagined that after a bitter battle, when he was like a lamp that had run out of oil, there would be someone spying on him. I'm sorry, but everything you've obtained will be taken by me. In the blink of an eye, the immortal was terrified. He looked to the side and saw a young man charging at him from behind. Then, bang! A punch that exploded his body. Xiao Han did not show any mercy. With one blow, he smashed the immortal's immortal body into pieces. Buff, 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 buff. Dense multicolored light burst out along with the immortal's dismembered body. Points. Magic treasures. The assimilation power. This time Xiao Han had completely eaten until he turned into a fatty. A huge flow of heat blasted into Xiao Han's body and merged with the assimilation power that he had accumulated in his body. Moreover, the points above Xiao Han's head were extremely eye-catching. They had reached 25328. There were also more than 200 Dharma treasures in his dantian. Xiao Han's entire body was overflowing with colorful lights. The current situation was that the points and Dharma treasures that the 9 immortals had obtained from fighting to the death had all been plundered and devoured by Xiao Han. This is awesome. There are more than 200 Dharma treasures in my body. My assimilation power has also increased. Xiao Han was naturally ecstatic. However, he quickly calmed himself down. Calm down. Calm down. At a time like this, I can't get carried away. If I'm not careful, I might be killed by other immortals just like the immortal I just killed. I can't be arrogant now. First, I need to find a secluded place to assimilate the boots of divine speed. With that thought in mind, Xiao Han took out his storage ring and put the corpses of the immortals into it. Then he flew at a low altitude. Xiao Han was extremely nervous. He was afraid that he would encounter other immortals at this time. He extended his psychic power and looked for a suitable place to hide. Just as Xiao Han flew for more than 10 kilometers, his psychic power trembled twice. The first tremble was due to a few immortals flying toward Xiao Han. They were only a few kilometers away. The second tremble was due to Xiao Han's psychic power. Behind a chain of mountains he had discovered a deep sea. The water was so deep that even Xiao Han's psychic power had to penetrate for several dozen seconds before reaching the bottom of the sea. This deep sea is more suitable for me to hide. With a thought, Xiao Han pushed himself to the limits of his speed. He circled around the mountain range and plunged into the deep sea. As soon as he entered the sea, Xiao Han released his spirit turtle True Qi to conceal his presence. His actions were as smooth as a hare leaping and a falcon swooping down. As soon as Xiao Han sank into the sea, a few immortals flew over from afar and stopped where Xiao Han had been earlier. Just now, our immortal senses seem to have discovered the aura of a mortal here. However, it's strange that the wisps of aura have disappeared without a trace. An indifferent immortal in green clothes frowned slightly. Senior brother, the 4th region is a place where immortals fight each other. How could mortals sneak in? Perhaps you're too nervous and you're hallucinating? Ha ha ha. A female immortal chuckled. Senior brother, another female immortal urged. Senior apprentice brother, senior apprentice sister, let's hurry up and find big brother Xingqinzi. Back in the immortal world, big brother Xingqinzi and I had a bit of a friendship. If we go seek refuge with him now, I'm sure he won't refuse. Then, let's go. Perhaps I really was too anxious and made a mistake. The indifferent immortal in azure couldn't help but nod. A lot of lone immortals have perished in the 4th region, and most of them have chosen to form teams. I heard that Master Xingqindi's team is very powerful. If we join him, we'll have some sort of safety net. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The immortals vanished in the blink of an eye. Xiao Han's entire body glowed with fluorescent light as he sank into the depths of the sea and sat down cross-legged on the sand. What? Chapter 627. After obtaining a large number of points and treasures, Xiao Han's first choice was to find a place to hide. At this moment, Xiao Han was sitting quietly at the bottom of an ocean that was tens of thousands of meters deep. He pushed the true qi of the spirit turtle to the limit, completely concealing the region where Xiaohan resided. With how deep the ocean was, even if immortals flew over the surface and released their immortal senses, they might not necessarily be able to find Xiaohan at the bottom of the ocean. Not to mention the fact that Xiaohan intentionally released the spirit turtle chi to create a feeling that he was one with the ocean. At the bottom of the ocean. Xiaohan closed his eyes slightly and looked inside himself. Xiaohan saw that there were more than 200 Dharma treasures operating in his dantian. Apart from the Immortal Emperor's Jade Tablet of Inheritance, there were also a large number of immortal pills, immortal arts, immortal swords, immortal armors, offensive treasures, defensive treasures. It was a dazzling array. At the same time, boom, 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 boom. A dragon-like power of refinement hoarded somewhere in Xiaohan's dantian. It produced a terrifying sound that was as hot as magma. By now, the power of refinement in Xiaohan's body had become extremely violent. After all, he had killed at least a dozen immortals. The amount of power of refinement he had collected was definitely extraordinary. Alright, I'll only use this power of refinement to break through one treasure. Xiaohan had a clear goal in mind. He willed it. Whoosh! In his dantian, a pair of battle boots wrapped in the restriction of Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao's consciousness moved slowly and reached the center of his dantian. The design of the battle boots was extremely simple. It was moon-white with some immortal formations engraved on it. Boots of speed. Forget about everything else. I'll use all the power of refinement in my dantian to break through this pair of boots of speed. Xiaohan licked his lips. Logically speaking, the most precious treasure in Xiaohan's dantian was the Jade Tablet of Inheritance of Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao. However, Xiaohan also felt that the amount of power of refinement needed to break through the restriction of the Jade Tablet of Inheritance was too terrifying. It was not something that he could achieve with the little power of refinement he had hoarded. In comparison, the amount of refining energy needed to open the Jade Token of Inheritance was at least a few thousand times more than the amount needed to open the Boots of Divine Speed. Xiaohan would not be so foolish as to temporarily waste the power of refinement on an inheritance jade pendant that could not be easily refined. These godly speed boots don't have any attack or defense attributes. They only increase one's speed. Moreover, after obtaining the godly speed boots, Xiaohan had a better understanding of its characteristics. The boots of divine speed can increase one's speed by 5 times. However, there is a limit. Xiaohan nodded. It doesn't increase one's speed infinitely, and not everyone can increase their speed by 5 times. Simply put, the maximum speed that this pair of boots can increase is the maximum speed of a level 4 true immortal. In other words, in fact, level 5 true immortals and even some level 4 true immortals who are already very fast, basically don't need to use this little acceleration magic treasure. Oh? It can only increase one's speed to the maximum of a level 4 true immortal. But for me now that's enough. Xiaohan was not concerned at all. One should know that Xiaohan had not learned any celestial skills. Although he had created an celestial body, his maximum speed was only equivalent to that of a level 2 true immortal. If he put on the boots of divine speed and increased his speed to that of a level 4 true immortal, it would be very impressive. Without further ado, Xiaohan wrapped his mind around the refining energy stored in his dantian, and then, boots of divine speed, refine it for me. The massive refinement force was like a tsunami crashing onto the shore, crashing into the sky. It bombarded the boots of divine speed. Poof! The torrent of refining energy was absorbed by the surface of the boots of divine speed. The immortal Emperor Zhu Dao's mind restriction on the surface of the boots of divine speed absorbed the enormous refining energy, leaving not a single drop behind. Xiaohan concentrated his mind power. Boom, boom, boom. After absorbing the refining energy, the immortal Emperor Zhu Dao's mind restriction on the surface of the boots of divine speed began to break away. Melt. Shatter. The glorious aura of an immortal artifact broke out of the cocoon. I hope this refining energy can completely melt the restriction on the surface of the boots of divine speed, so that I can have this pair of combat boots that can increase my speed. Xiaohan's mouth was dry. At the same time, in the 4th district, the massacre among the immortals was still going on, and it was getting more and more intense. In the end, almost all the immortals who were left behind were killed. The immortals who were lucky enough to survive in the 4th district formed their own teams. Teams with close to 100 people. Teams with a dozen people or just a few people. Of course, even the largest team of immortals in the 4th district did not have more than 100 people. After all, the final number of survivors in the 4th district was only 100. Any team that exceeded this number would cause panic. At this moment, Close to 100 immortals were entrenched in a valley basin. This was the largest team formed in the 4th district. A team of immortals led by Xing Qinzi. Including Xing Qinzi, there were 98 people. Just 2 more before the team was full. At this moment, Xing Qinzi was like a moon surrounded by stars. He sat cross-legged, and the points above his head had exceeded 100,000. Points were directly proportional to treasures. Such a terrifying number of points meant that the number of treasures in Xing Qinzi's body was astonishing. At the same time, the refining power that the sons of the stars had gained was also extraordinary. At this moment, rumbling sounds could be heard coming from Xing Qinzi's dantian. His dantian undulated, and the subtle sound of ice melting could be heard from the inside out. Xing Qinzi was using the refining energy to refine the treasures in his body. Ha! Xing Qinzi's face was filled with pride. This pride couldn't be concealed and came from the bottom of his heart. The dozens of immortals beside him had far fewer points than Xing Qinzi. After all, Xing Qinzi was the leader of the team. During the hunt, Xing Qinzi had taken all the advantages. Only the leftovers were left to be shared with the other immortals. However, Xing Qinzi had promised that once he successfully refined the treasures in his body, he would help the other immortals earn points, treasures, and refining energy. Big brother Xing Qinzi has already completed the 1,000 slaughter. More than 1,000 immortals have died at his hands. That's terrifying. Big brother Xing Qinzi is at the most critical moment of refining some of the treasures in his body. Big brother Xing Qinzi is too strong. His points are probably the highest among all the immortals in the 4th region. We've followed the right person to follow big brother Xing Qinzi. As a team, we'll definitely be able to break through the preliminaries and trample all the other immortals and teams to death. Ah! Just then. Boom! Immortal energy surged above Xing Qinzi's head like a tide, and 2 pillars of immortal light burst forth. Unusual phenomena appeared. Heaven and earth shook. A huge pressure directly covered the area. Immortals in the surroundings couldn't help but drop to one knee. They fell silent out of fear. Ah! I finally succeeded. Xing Qinzi shot to his feet like a spring breeze. In the next moment, a taiji formation that was several acres large rose out of his body. Within the taiji diagram, a large number of immortal characters and arrays were outlined, emitting an enormous pressure that shook one's heart. A taiji formation. I finally refined this taiji formation. Ah! After killing more than 1,000 immortals and obtaining an enormous amount of refining energy, I've perfectly refined this taiji formation into my own treasure. Xing Qinzi shrieked. He seemed to have lost his composure, and his face was flushed with excitement. I've heard of this taiji formation back in the immortal world. Given my cultivation level, I didn't have the right to touch it, but now, it's become my natal treasure. I've collected the refining energy from it and used it to break through Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao's will restriction on its surface. After refining it, it's a perfect fit with my soul. This way, I'll be able to wield at least half of the taiji formation's power. Now, I can at least kill a 4th grade true immortal at his peak with this treasure. I can even trap a 5th grade true immortal. Ah! Xing Qinzi threw his head back and laughed. Congratulations, big brother Xing Qinzi. Congratulations. Congratulations. The immortals cheered one after another. The atmosphere was heated. Xing Qinzi pressed his hand down, and all the immortals held their breaths. After a brief pause, a vicious expression appeared on the Son of the Stars' face. Alright, I don't know if I'm the first person in Realm 4 to successfully refine a magical treasure. Perhaps other immortals have also obtained enough power to refine their own magical treasures. However, I'm afraid not many of them have been able to refine magical treasures as powerful as the taiji symbol. From now on, I'll lead you to slaughter in District 4. Wipe out everything. Kill all the other immortals. Follow me closely. I still have more than 1,000 treasures in me. As long as you perform well and remain loyal to me, I won't mind giving you some of the treasures I don't need. Yes. Thank you, big brother Xing Qinzi. Let's go. Surround the other immortals in this area and end the preliminaries of District 4. Xing Qinzi roared fiercely. The next moment, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Nearly 100 immortals followed Xing Qinzi and flew toward the east like a swarm of bees, brimming with murderous intent. At the bottom of the sea, puff. The sound of an eggshell cracking came from Xiaohan's dantian. In the next moment, a faint beam of immortal light shot out from the top of Xiaohan's head, out of the sea and into the sky. Ah! I did it. Suddenly Xiaohan opened his eyes and was overjoyed. Whoosh! Finally, the pair of Godspeed boots shot out of Xiaohan's dantian and floated in front of him. Immortal Emperor Ju Dao's divine will restriction was no longer on the surface of the boots. I refine them. The refinement energy that I have gathered has finally succeeded in refining this pair of divine speed boots. I can increase my speed by 5 times. Xiaohan stood up and a thought flashed through his mind. Xiao. The pair of Godspeed boots merged with Xiaohan's feet. However, at this moment, a cold laugh rang out in the sky above the deep sea. Come out, my friend hiding under the sea. What? Chapter 628. Just as Xiaohan was about to refine the boots of Godspeed, his whereabouts were discovered by a few immortals. To be more precise, Xiaohan's ability to conceal his presence was quite perfect. He wouldn't be easily discovered by the immortals. However, as soon as Xiaohan refined the boots of speed, the immortal chi emanating from the boots of speed shot out of the sea and into the clouds. A plume of immortal chi lingered in the air above the deep sea like a beacon, piercing through the clouds and the surface of the sea. 5 immortals hovered in the air above the sea, staring at the plume of immortal chi. What a cunning fellow. I can't believe he's hiding in the deep sea, an immortal with a thin face said with a smile, holding a war saber in his hand. We were almost fooled by him. We just flew out of the deep sea, but this plume of immortal chi exposed his whereabouts and forced us to turn back. The immortal who spoke didn't have many points above his head. He only had a little over 3,000 points. The other 4 immortals didn't even have 3,000 points. The 5 immortals seemed to be a small team. They were hunting lone immortals in a team. Big brother Lu Xingzi, this immortal chi seems to be coming from an immortal artifact. If I'm not mistaken, an immortal must be refining an immortal artifact at the bottom of the sea, a short immortal said. The rest of the immortals were on high alert upon hearing this. The thin-faced immortal said disdainfully, I also know that an immortal is refining an immortal artifact at the bottom of the sea, and it looks like he's succeeded. However, don't be afraid. Look at the trace of immortal chi. It doesn't have any offensive or defensive power. In fact, it's very weak. If I'm not mistaken, that fellow at the bottom of the sea refined an immortal artifact. It must be a useless immortal artifact. He's just a coward who hid and refined a trash immortal artifact. What's there to be afraid of? The other 4 immortals nodded in agreement. One of the female immortals pursed her lips into a smile. That's right, big brothers. We have some treasures in our bodies, but they're all trash. With the power of refinement that we've obtained, we can also refine it. However, there's no point in refining low-quality magic treasures. It's better to hoard the refining power and refine magic treasures that have stronger offensive or defensive power. No matter what, let's find that fellow at the bottom of the sea, kill him and plunder his points. We'll obtain the refining power of the treasures from him, the thin immortal roared at the surface of the sea. Friend hiding at the bottom of the sea, don't be a coward anymore. We've already discovered you. Come out quickly, otherwise don't blame us for being impolite. At the bottom of the sea. I accidentally revealed the immortal aura of the boots of speed and was discovered by an immortal passing by the sea. Xiaohan was very calm. At this moment, Xiaohan's legs, which were wearing the divine movement boots, were flowing with brilliant colors. All types of immortal symbols pervaded the air, appearing extremely mystical. Soon, the pair of godly speed boots fused perfectly with Xiaohan's bones and blood vessels, becoming his natal immortal treasure. The immortal chi of the boots dimmed and fused with Xiaohan's legs. Now, when Xiaohan used this immortal artifact, the boots of divine speed, he could control it as he pleased. I can activate the boots of speed with a thought and double the speed. Xiaohan knew the characteristics of the boots of speed like the back of his hand. I have a special dual attribute immortal body, so my speed limit is similar to that of a level 2 true immortal. Also, if a level 2 true immortal uses a speed limit immortal skill, my speed is far inferior to theirs. But now that I have the boots of speed, I can increase my speed by 5 times, so my speed limit is equivalent to that of a level 4 true immortal. Moreover, any level 2 true immortal can't compare to my speed limit even if they use a superior speed limit immortal skill. Unless a level 2 true immortal also has a treasure that can increase speed. I've gained the upper hand in terms of stamen as well. I'm sure there aren't many immortals who can match up to my stamen. Xiaohan smiled excitedly. Then he rose into the air, rising above the surface of the sea and into the sky. In the sky, 5 immortals, 4 men and 1 woman, were waiting for Xiaohan to come out. As soon as Xiaohan rose into the sky, he was surrounded by the 5 immortals. What? He's immortal? As soon as Xiao Han appeared, the thin-looking immortal screamed. The other 4 immortals were also amazed. Then they noticed the points above Xiao Han's head. 2, 5, 3, 2, 8 how many points? The 5 immortals roared at the same time. Moreover, their eyes were wide open, and their pupils gradually turned red. It should be noted that the thin-looking immortal had the most points among the 5 immortals, but he only had a little more than 3,000 points. It was not even a fraction of Xiao Han's points. Fat sheep. Brother Lu Xingzi. We've actually discovered a fat sheep. Tiske, this mortal is worse than a pig or a dog, yet he has so many points. He must have a lot of treasures in his body. Another celestial's eyes bulged as if he wanted to devour Xiao Han immediately. He, mortal little friend, did you secretly refine an immortal item just now? What kind of immortal item is it? Take it out and let me see, the female immortal asked Xiao Han while giggling. The 5 immortals were naturally fearless. They had already surrounded Xiao Han. They believed that with their abilities, they would definitely be able to deal with Xiao Han in a 5-on-1 situation. Hang, it's not a big deal. It's just an ordinary immortal item, a small toy. Xiao Han smiled noncommittally. Xiao Han's attitude was extremely calm. After a pause, Xiao Han asked, the 5 of you seem to be in a small group. The 5 of you seem to be in a small group. TSK. Are immortals in the 4th region starting to form groups? That's right. Immortals who are alone have all fallen. They've all perished, the female immortal said with a coquettish laugh. Mortal little brother, are you interested in joining our group? Ha. The other immortals all laughed mockingly. Heh. Xiao Han also laughed, then said, right, how many immortals are left in the 4th region now? I'm afraid I can't join your group. Just the 5 of you? You're too weak. I'm afraid you'll be swallowed by other groups in the blink of an eye. Kit, you talk too much nonsense. Immortal Pristine Claw sneered when he heard this. Don't think that you're fearless just because you refine some trash treasure. You're immortal. Even if you can refine treasures, you won't be able to use much of their power. It'll be easy for us to take you down. Forget it, I'll kill you now and take your points and the treasure in your Dantian first. Wait, the female immortal stopped him. Then she looked at Xiao Han cautiously. She said softly, mortal little friend, you've obtained so many points. How many immortals have you killed? The 5 immortals stared at Xiao Han. Yes, there must be something fishy about a mortal having tens of thousands of points. Xiao Han said, feigning ignorance. I only killed 1 immortal, yet I obtained these points and countless treasures. When I ran into that immortal, he was already heavily injured and on the verge of death. Oh, so you were just lucky. The immortals came to a sudden realization. The female immortal finally relaxed. She continued to smile seductively, her eyes as clear as water. However, there was a hint of coldness in her voice. Mortal little friend, I can tell you that there are less than 10,000 immortals left in the 4th region. The most powerful group in the entire 4th region is the group led by the Star Child. Alright, I'll make an exception and answer your question. Now you can die. To everyone's surprise. As soon as she finished speaking, there was a flash of afterimages. Xiao Han had vanished from where he stood. In the next moment, the female immortal's expression froze. At the position of her Dantian there was a huge hole. Her immortal blood gushed out. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. This? Xiao Han was already standing behind the female immortal with a grin on his face. The other 4 immortals were at a loss for what to do. They hadn't even seen how the female immortal had been attacked. All they saw was a flash of a figure, then the female immortal's Dantian was pierced through. You killed me? The female immortal turned to look at Xiao Han with difficulty. Blood trickled down the corner of her mouth. Xiao Han nodded innocently. The next moment, the female immortal's immortal body exploded. Dead. Just now, Xiao Han had suddenly used the boots of divine speed to accelerate himself. With 5 times his maximum speed, which was the speed of a level 4 true immortal, he had rushed to the front of the female true immortal and punched her body. The female immortal's thoughts and reactions were completely unable to keep up. Of course, the reason why Xiao Han was able to kill the immortal and punch through her body with 1 punch was because of his fast movement technique. On the other hand, he was also very strong. If he was just fast, he wouldn't have been able to kill the immortal if his attack power wasn't strong enough. The maximum attack power of 40 immortal dragons and the speed of a level 4 true immortal. Indeed, the attack power is unbelievably strong. Xiao Han was extremely satisfied. Roar! Brat! How dare you sneak attack? Die! Immortal Pristine Cloud's voice was trembling. He seemed to understand that the mortal in front of him was not easy to deal with. Suddenly, Immortal Pristine Cloud struck with his palm. The palm was piercingly cold, sucking up all the air within a radius of thousands of meters. Even the sea was evaporated. However, this sure-kill palm strike failed to hit Xiao Han. The immortals looked up and saw that Xiao Han was already standing in the void thousands of meters away, a smile on his face. He was completely unharmed. Xiao Han's speed was even faster than the immortals. Oh, Lu Xingzi. Big brother Lu Xingzi, this kid's speed is as fast as a ghost. The immortals all realized what was going on. However, whoosh, an afterimage flashed. Bam. Immortal Pristine Cloud's head suddenly exploded. As for Xiao Han, he had already moved over from thousands of meters away. After blowing up Immortal Qingyun's head, he stood in the opposite direction from where he had been standing. Immortal Pristine Cloud had fallen. The female Immortal and Immortal Pristine Cloud's points, treasures and refining power were all taken by Xiao Han. Ah. No. Mortals, no. Stop killing. Give up. Everyone please, we shouldn't have offended you. Please stop killing. Xiao Han had killed 2 immortals in a row. The remaining 3 immortals were scared out of their wits and begged for mercy. However, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Xiao Han's figure flashed 3 times at lightning speed. Bang, bang, bang. The heads of the remaining 3 immortals exploded at almost the same time. Xiao Han stood on the spot, his eyes filled with shock. Killing these immortals is as easy as eating and drinking. Although the strength of my immortal body is powerful, it's extremely clumsy and doesn't have any technique to speak of. But now, with the help of my immortal body, technique isn't important anymore. This is what it means to be fast in all martial arts. Awesome. This is awesome. To be continued, are you? Chapter 629. With a wave of his hand, Xiao Han killed the 5 immortals in an instant. He didn't give them any chance to turn the tables. Simple and brutal. Almost instant kills. Before that, Xiao Han had just created an Earth Lightning dual attribute immortal body. His physical body's offense and defense had reached the level of an ordinary level 4 perfected immortal, with 40 immortal dragons' power. But Jia Lanzi, Tao Tai, and the other immortals had said that Xiao Han couldn't win against a level 2 perfected immortal, unless he pretended to be weak and launched a sneak attack. It's also difficult to kill a perfected immortal head-on. A perfected immortal was proficient in all kinds of immortal spells and divine abilities, and had all kinds of Dharma treasures and trump cards. Xiao Han's immortal power was strong, but he didn't have any techniques to speak of. He was clumsy when fighting an immortal. But now that Xiao Han had refined the boots of speed, his offensive and defensive power were on par with an ordinary level 4 perfected immortal. That way he would be like a tiger with wings. He couldn't fight an immortal one-on-one. Xiao Han was in a daze as he watched the corpses of the 5 immortals fall to the ground. He raised his hands and looked at them, forgetting all about humiliation. Mortals had killed immortals without using any evil arts. They had killed them face to face with their fists. This was an indescribable tempering for Xiao Han's mind. But soon Xiao Han gathered his thoughts and put the immortal corpses into his storage ring. He would use the monster monarch's palm to slowly devour and refine them when he got out. At the same time, countless rays of auspicious energy from the 5 immortals shot into Xiao Han's dantian. Xiao Han's points rose. All the way up. They reached 38328. The Dharma treasures in his dantian activated. More than 300. Moreover, the power of refinement that erupted from the bodies of these immortals was like a trickle, gurgling, warm, and boiling. It converged into a river in Xiao Han's dantian, condensing and hoarding somewhere. Xiao Han didn't use the refining power for now. Then Xiao Han sorted out his thoughts. Now I'm not sure. There should be thousands of immortals left in the 4th region, and they've already formed their own teams. If I want to get into the top 100, I'll have to keep killing immortals. However, the lone immortals have all been killed. I need to face some teams directly. By the way, it's said that the Son of the Stars team is the most powerful and most powerful. When he thought of the son of Xing Qinzi, Xiao Han also frowned slightly. Before entering the 2nd level of the Ju Dao Immortal Emperor's treasure trove, Xiao Han's brows were slightly furrowed. The fact that Xiao Han had beaten a hero who had been blessed by the Son of the Stars to pieces and provoked the Son of the Stars meant that the Son of the Stars had a deep enmity with him that could not be easily resolved. Xiao Han hadn't expected that he would run into his mortal enemy, the Son of the Stars, in the fourth realm. Xiao Han also had a vague premonition that a battle to the death between him and the son of Xingqinzi would definitely take place. At this moment, Xiao Han scanned his surroundings with psychic fluctuations and keenly sensed that a few immortals were surrounding him from all directions and attacking him at breakneck speed. It seems that a team has discovered me and is surrounding me. With a thought, immortal light flashed under Xiao Han's feet, and he drifted away, leaving no traces behind. Not long after Xiao Han disappeared, a dozen or so immortals flew toward him from all directions, all of them brimming with killing intent. The immortal in the lead was a skinny young man with a white cloth wrapped around his head. His expression was cold, and the points above his head had reached 50,000. Big brother Fei Hongzi, that guy got away. The dozen or so immortals surrounded the skinny young man. Clearly, the skinny young man was the leader of this group of immortals. Yes. Fei Hongzi nodded slightly, a sinister smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. At this stage of the game, it's no longer easy to kill an immortal and gain points and power of refinement. Instead, we'll have to team up and fight them. Listen up, what we need to do now is find a team with fewer people and surround them. I have an offensive magical treasure I'm interested in, and I need a little more power of refinement before I can completely refine it for my own use. All of you have to help me obtain that bit of power of refinement. Once I gain control of that magical treasure, our lives will be much easier. Brother Fei Hongzi, you'll definitely lead us out of this encirclement. The immortals were all fawning over him. By the way, big brother Fei Hongzi, there must be a lot of immortals who have refined some of the magical treasures in their bodies. It doesn't matter. Only a few immortals managed to refine powerful and useful magic treasures. The rest probably only refined some useless magic treasures. We just have to be careful, Fei Hongzi said, waving his hand. The magical treasure I want to refine isn't useless. I'd rather not have it than have it. Let's go. Xiu, 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 the large group of immortals disappeared without a trace. Xiao Han flew quickly through the air. His mental strength spread out to monitor the situation in his surroundings. The current Xiao Han was no longer hiding. He was more like a hunter. Xiao Han had already inspected the magic treasures he'd looted from the 5 immortals he'd killed. Most of the magic treasures were useless. Some of the more offensive ones required more refining power, and Xiao Han didn't want to refine them so easily. After all, he could perfectly use auxiliary magic treasures such as the Boots of Speed, but if he wanted to use offensive and defensive magic treasures, he would not be able to perfectly unleash the power of these magic treasures as a mortal. He should first accumulate the power of refinement and use it at a critical moment. Good steel should be used on the blade. Most of the land in the 4th region consisted of plains and mountains, but there were some deserts as well. A group of immortals was currently walking through the desert, looking around. There were about 40 of them and they were considered a relatively strong group. The leader was an immortal. The points floating above his head had exceeded 80,000. His entire body was shimmering with immortal light. He'd clearly refined some kind of immortal artifact. Boss, with your current points, you're definitely in the top 100 of the 4th region. But our points aren't good enough, sigh. The immortals following behind sighed. Don't be so long-winded. Don't worry, I'll lead you out of the encirclement. The leader of the immortals said coldly. With this offensive immortal artifact I've refined, I can even kill a level 3 true immortal. Xiao Han poked his head out from behind a huge sand dune on the left side of the desert. His gaze and mental strength focused on the group of immortals walking through the desert. After observing for a while, Xiao Han shook his head slightly. It's been 7 days. I'm in the 4th region. I've been in the 4th region for a long time and encountered many groups of immortals along the way. But I haven't had a chance to attack. Xiao Han had been very sullen during the past 7 days. He'd wanted to find a chance to kill more immortals, but he hadn't expected to encounter so many groups of immortals along the way. For example, groups of a dozen or dozens of immortals. Although Xiao Han was fast, he didn't dare attack them directly. Now Xiao Han was certain of one thing. There were definitely no lone immortals. He was probably the only lone immortal in the entire 4th region. His luck wasn't good either. In the past 7 days, Xiao Han hadn't encountered any groups that fought each other to the death, so he hadn't been able to take advantage of them. If this goes on, I'm afraid it'll be difficult for me to kill immortals and gain points and refining power. Xiaohan was anxious and worried. I need a great amount of refinement power in order to break through the will restriction outside the inheritance jade plate. Just then, there's a thief lurking in the dark. He's courting death. The leader of the group walking through the desert suddenly stopped in his tracks and turned his head to look at the sand dune where Xiaohan was hiding. Boom! A sharp immortal attack slammed into the sand dune. Space shattered, the air twisted and evaporated. Bang! The sand dune was blasted into nothingness. A huge crater had appeared in that area. Boss, did you kill him? A look of surprise flashed across the leader's eyes before he softly said, "That was fast. It looks like he refined a shoe-type Dharma treasure." Naturally, Xiaohan had left before the leader could unleash his killing blow. Ordinary level, 2 true immortals might not be able to hit Xiaohan even with their Dharma treasures, unless they were besieged by a group of immortals or had extremely powerful Dharma treasures. Xiaohan flew for dozens of kilometers, then sat on the bank of a small river, extremely depressed. I wonder when I'll be able to kill immortals and obtain the power to refine them again. Those teams of immortals are also swallowing each other up. Some of the weaker teams are trying to survive in the cracks, but I'm afraid they've already been destroyed. I won't even have a chance to hunt them. Do I, Xiaohan, have to join some team? Xiaohan shook his head and laughed at the thought. Forget it. Why should I trust others with my back? I'm afraid I can't find an immortal I can trust in the 4th region. At this moment, Xiaohan's mind trembled. Several immortals were slowly walking toward him from several miles away. There are only 3 immortals. Xiaohan was shocked. Currently, Xiaohan did not dare to attack a group of immortals with more than 10 immortals. It was too risky. However, Xiaohan was confident he could kill a group of immortals with less than 10 immortals. Yet, there were only 3 immortals within the range of Xiaohan's psychic fluctuations. Xiaohan could kill 3 immortals in an instant. It's like a pie falling from the sky. I can't believe there's such a small group of immortals here. Xiaohan licked his lips. However, when Xiaohan scanned them with his mind, he discovered he knew all 3 immortals. Xiaohan was very familiar with their celestial consciousness. 2 of the immortals were old acquaintances of Xiaohan. One of the 2 immortals who had descended into Xiaohan's realm was Yangzi, and the other was Heiheizi. As for the other immortal, Xiaohan had also seen him before. That day when Xiaohan was hiding in the cave, he discovered a couple of immortals plotting against each other. The female immortal would seduce the other immortals, and the husband and wife would join forces to kill them. At this moment, the immortal in Xiaohan's mind was none other than the female immortal, Xia Fairy. Oh, Yangzi and Heibaizi are actually together with this female immortal. I'm afraid this is bad. Xiaohan thought to himself. To be continued? Are you? Chapter 630. Originally, when these 3 immortals approached Xiaohan's location, Xiaohan was overjoyed. He wanted to use his lightning-fast methods to kill them and obtain the points and power of refinement he needed. But he discovered that 2 of the 3 immortals were his friends. Among the immortals who descended to Xiaohan's plane, a portion of them had always been on good terms with Xiaohan. Needless to say, Jialanzi, Taimizi, Suhuaizi, Shiyangzi, and other immortals also got along well with Xiaohan. Now Yangzi and Heiheizi were also Xiaohan's friends. Xiaohan slightly restrained his killing intent. Naturally, he would not kill his friends for points and power of refinement. On the contrary, Xiaohan was happy to meet his old friends in the 4th region. However, Yangzi and Heiheizi were actually together with Fairy Xia. This was thought-provoking. Fairy Xia? This female immortal and her husband conspired to use all kinds of despicable methods. They did not hesitate to sacrifice their bodies to lure immortals into their trap. Then they let the husband and wife kill each other. What a coincidence, I just happened to eavesdrop on their plan. Xiaohan smiled coldly. At the same time, Xiaohan's mental fluctuation became more concentrated. It enveloped Yangzi and the other 2 immortals, and he clearly heard their conversation. Fairy Xia, thank you. At this moment, Yangzi and Heiheizi looked at Fairy Xia with slight gratitude. Big brothers, no need to be so polite. Fairy Xia smiled sweetly and said softly. Now, the game in the 4th region has already reached the most critical moment. It had already reached the most crucial moment. It is simply at a white-hot stage. If you 2 don't join some teams, I'm afraid. But don't worry, my husband has already gathered a group of like-minded immortals and formed a team to fight against the other teams of immortals. Now, I solemnly invite you 2 to join me and my husband's team. Fairy Zixia's words were indeed delicate and gentle. There was even a hint of tenderness in them that made it difficult for people to resist. Inadvertently, Yu Yangzi and Heiheizi looked at Zixia Fairy with fascination. Zixia Fairy saw the attitudes of Yu Yangzi and Heiheizi. An imperceptible killing intent flashed through her pure eyes. Then she said coquettishly, "Big brothers, your immortal energy is strong. In the future we will be a team. I hope that the two of you can help me at the critical moment. You have to protect this little sister. This little sister will definitely repay the two big brothers." This young and tender voice, coupled with her charming facial features and skin that was as smooth as white jade, was indeed very charming. Heh, she's really treacherous. An ordinary person wouldn't be able to guard against such an act. Xiaohan saw everything. Looks like brother Yu Yangzi and brother Heizi have completely trusted this B*TCH. However, if I didn't eavesdrop on the conversation between Fairy Zixia and her husband, and if I didn't sense her subtle emotional fluctuations through her psyche waves, I'm afraid I would have fallen into her trap. Now this B*TCH clearly wants to lead brother Yu Yangzi and brother Heizi into a trap and kill them secretly. But, since I've encountered this why don't I beat her at her own game? Suddenly an idea flashed in Xiaohan's mind. Kill this bitch and her husband. Plunder points and magic treasures and refine them. In the short span of a few breaths, Xiaohan used this sudden inspiration in his mind to form a plan. Beat her at her own game. At the same time, Yu Yangzi, Heiheizi, and Zixia Fairy had already discovered Xiaohan. Big brothers? There seems to be the aura of a lone person ahead. Zixia Fairy said in surprise. Indeed. But it seems to be the aura of a mortal, not an immortal. Yu Yangzi frowned. This is strange. In the 4th district, where tens of thousands of immortals are competing, why would a mortal appear? Wait. It seems to be brother Xiaohan. Heiheizi's eyes lit up. It seems to be brother Xiaohan's aura. Suddenly Yu Yangzi and Heiheizi's eyes lit up, filled with an extremely complicated emotion. Then they quickly walked in Xiaohan's direction. Zixia Fairy was puzzled. She followed closely behind and kept talking. Mortal? Xiaohan? Big brothers, this? It should be Xiaohan, a mortal friend we met when we descended, Yu Yangzi said fervently. Zixia, don't look down on brother Xiaohan. Although he's immortal, his miraculousness is not inferior to us immortals. We admire his various methods. Even big brother Jialanzi sincerely admires brother Xiaohan. Yes, brother Xiaohan will become an immortal sooner or later. His future development in the immortal world will be like a rainbow, and his future will be limitless. Heiheizi said with a serious face. For some reason, when Xiaohan was mentioned, the two immortals, Yu Yangzi and Heiheizi's bad luck was swept away, and their faces revealed proud expressions. Zixia Fairy said calmly. Yes, I believe you two big brothers. Then, please introduce me to the outstanding talent among the mortals, Xiaohan. Xiaohan was also waiting to reunite with an old friend. Thus, he stood motionless and a smile appeared on his face. This smile came from the heart. Soon Yu Yangzi, Heiheizi, and Zixia Fairy walked towards Xiaohan. Ha! Brother Xiaohan. Yu Yangzi and Heiheizi suddenly laughed out loud. Then their figures flashed and they appeared next to Xiaohan. The three looked at each other and laughed. Yu Yangzi and Heiheizi did not have any fear towards Xiaohan. They were extremely sincere. And it was the same for Xiaohan. In this game where lives were easily lost, where immortals killed each other, and where they schemed against each other, to be able to meet an old friend was indeed a shocking thing. Big brothers, how are you doing in the 4th region? Xiaohan asked, slightly excited. This. Yu Yangzi and Heiheizi exchanged glances. In their eyes there was also a look of resentment. Xiaohan looked at their expressions. He saw the points above Yu Yangzi's head. It was only 1,700 points, and Heiheizi only 2,100 points. Up to now, with such points they could barely survive in the 4th region. Looking at their expressions, Xiaohan did not need to think to know. Their situation must be very miserable. They must have been hunted down everywhere, and they must have suffered some humiliation. Brother Xiaohan, your points? Suddenly Yu Yangzi raised his head and saw Xiaohan's points. He was so shocked that his jaw dropped. 38,328 points. Brother Xiaohan, this is too terrifying. You actually obtained such a huge number of points in this region filled with immortals. Heiheizi was also completely in disbelief. Fairy Zixia's eyes were wide open. An unconcealable greed swept across her eyes. Her heart was trembling. Close to 40,000 points. With such points he might not be in the top 100 in the entire 4th region, but he would at least be in the top 300. In other words, the number of Dharma treasures in his body is also close to 400. Well, this guy is a moving treasure trove. As long as I kill him, then. Fairy Wuxia was so excited that she felt dizzy. She tried her best to control herself. She put on a gentle and kind expression and walked directly towards Xiaohan. Oh, you must be my little friend Xiaohan? You are indeed handsome, a dragon among men. Just now, I heard you Yangzi and Heiheizi praise you. A charming look was cast towards Xiaohan. Xiaohan deliberately pretended to be confused. You are. This fairy Wuxia was clearly doing better than you Yangzi and Heiheizi. She also had 9,500 points. This bitch's points are close to 10,000. I'm afraid her man's points are even higher. I'll kill this immortal world's adulterous couple and earn a lot. It's also a good thing. Xiaohan's heart was also filled with killing intent. Oh, you can call me Wuxia, Fairy Wuxia said tenderly. Hello Wuxia. Xiaohan was also extremely friendly. Both of them had their own ulterior motives, but their expressions were extremely polite, as if they respected each other. After a pause, Xiaohan looked at Yu Yangzi and Heiheizi again. Brothers, how many of the immortals that descended to my plane have entered the 4th region? Yu Yangzi gritted his teeth. Brother Xiaohan, in fact it should only be me, Brother Heiheizi and Su Huizi. The 3 of us entered the 4th region. Brother Jialanzi and the others should be in other regions. Su Huizi? Xiaohan asked curiously. Then where is Brother Su Huizi now? Towards Su Huizi, Xiaohan was extremely respectful. Back then, when Su Huizi came to Xiaohan's plane, he didn't use his status to bully the mortals. Instead, he treated the mortals' illnesses in the Western Barren Lands and gave them many benefits. Who wouldn't respect such an immortal? Compared to the likes of the Son of Heaven and the Son of Spectre, his character was much more noble. Where is Big Brother Su Huizi? Xiaohan blurted out. Now, with the addition of Big Brother Su Huizi, we can form a small team and trust each other. Ah! Unexpectedly, Brother Xiaohan? Yu Yangzi and Heiheizi's faces dimmed. Their eyes were filled with rage and hatred. Su Huizi was originally with us in Burrow 4. The 3 of us were a small team. However, Su Huizi was killed 3 days ago. He died. What? Hearing this, Xiaohan's body shook and then he became furious. Big Brother Su Huizi died? This. Big Brother Su Huizi has always been a kind person, I didn't think. Xiaohan quickly calmed down. Who did it? Big Brothers, did you too avenge Big Brother Su Huizi? I'm afraid we won't be able to get revenge, Yu Yangzi cried bitterly. It was Son of Stars and his men. Master Xingqinzi's faction is enormous, and he's gathered nearly 100 immortals to hunt down weaker immortal factions. A few days ago, the 3 of us ran into a squad of 15 immortals under Master Xingqinzi's command. They surrounded us and tried to kill us. In the end, Su Huizi was killed in order to protect the 2 of us. One of Master Xingqinzi's subordinates beheaded him with a single slash. Son of Stars. Xiaohan's eyes were filled with killing intent. Big Brother Su Huizi, don't worry. I Xiaohan will definitely avenge you. To be continued. Chapter 631. To Xiaohan, Su Huizi's death was like a bolt from the blue. Xiaohan had long since considered Jialanzi, Taotai, Su Huizi, and the other kind-hearted immortals his friends. How could Xiaohan not be filled with righteous indignation when he heard that his friend had died a horrible death? However, Xiaohan wasn't impulsive. He quickly regained his composure. For some unknown reason, after reuniting with Xiaohan, Yu Yangzi and Heiheizi felt as if they had found a lighthouse, their backbone, and even some spiritual support. This was very strange. How could immortals have such a reverent attitude toward mortals? Even Yu Yangzi and Heiheizi couldn't explain it. They all felt that as long as they stayed by Xiaohan's side, they would be able to overcome this obstacle. This was probably because Xiaohan had single-handedly contended with Sun Firmament, Child Nether Spirit, and the other extraordinary immortals without being at a disadvantage. Even Yu Yangzi and the other immortals admired him. Little friend Xiaohan, you don't have to take it to heart. In this game, if you don't kill others, others will kill you. The strong will kill the weak. It's survival of the fittest. There's no need to be sad. Fairy Wuxia pretended to console him. You're right, but it was my friend who was killed. Of course I'm angry and I'll avenge him, Xiaohan said coldly. Fairy Zixia choked on Xiaohan's words. An imperceptible malice flashed through her eyes, then she smiled. Little friend Xiaohan, you're really loyal. Loyal and loyal. But Sun Xingqinzi's forces are enormous. He has elite troops and he himself has more than 100,000 points. He's even refined a magic treasure. Little friend Xiaohan, it'll be very difficult for you to avenge Su Huaizi. You must take your time to think. Hearing this, Xiaohan knew that Fairy Zixia was definitely trying to lure him to her husband and then kill him. However, Xiaohan didn't bat an eyelid. Take my time to think? What should we do about it? Zixia Fairy sorted out her thoughts and said with a straight face. Xiaohan, young friend, Bai Xiaochun said, a large number of immortals have perished in the fourth realm. Originally there were close to 40,000 immortals, but now there are only a few thousand left. There were definitely no lone immortals. The Son of the Stars was strong not because he himself was strong, but because he formed an extremely strong team. I heard that Master Xingqindi has a total of 99 immortals working for him. Including him, that's a total of 100. Apparently they're going to kill all of the other immortals in the fourth region. Well, there's no way we're going to just sit around and let Master Xingqindi kill us. We have to join forces too. Zixia Fairy used her glib tongue to trick Xiaohan. Why was Su Huaizi killed? It was because the team was too weak. In other words, Yu Yangzi, Heizi, and Su Huaizi had formed a small team. Such a small team could easily be surrounded and killed by other large teams. Previously, I've already tried to persuade Big Brother Yu Yangzi and Big Brother Heizi. They've agreed to join my team. Let's work together and trust each other to fight against the insane Son of Stars. Oh? Zixia, your team? Xiaohan asked with a smile. What team? Brother Xiaohan, sister Zixia and her husband Heng Shanzi have formed a team. She invited us to join them and we agreed, Yu Yangzi said to Xiaohan, a hint of helplessness in his voice. At the same time, Heizi sent a soul transmission to Xiaohan. Brother Xiaohan, there's nothing we can do. The current situation is beyond our control. If we don't join the team, we'll die for sure. We've met Fairy Zixia and her husband, Heng Shanzi, once in the immortal world, so we can be considered friends. Moreover, they haven't done anything bad in the immortal world, so we can probably trust them. Alas, it's a lie to say that we can trust them completely in this situation. But we have no choice but to take a gamble. Big Brother Heizi, I understand what you mean. Xiaohan hastily sent a soul transmission to Heizi. Leave this to me. We can temporarily join this couple's team. We'll take action as we see fit. If anything goes wrong, we'll immediately take some emergency measures. All right, Brother Xiaohan. You're wise and resourceful. I'll leave everything to you. Yu Yangzi and I will follow your lead. Heizi agreed. Xiaohan didn't tell his plan to Heizi and Yu Yangzi yet. Fairy Zixia, Xiaohan pretended to ponder as he lifted his head to look at Fairy Zixia. How many people do you have in your team? Including us, husband and wife, we have 8. But if little friend Xiaohan, Big Brother Yu Yangzi, and Big Brother Heizi join the team, then we'll have a total of 11 people, Fairy Zixia said hastily. A team of 11 might not be enough to crush the other teams, but it's more than enough to protect ourselves. Furthermore, my wife and I will use our connections to unite the other immortals in District 4, so that our team will continue to grow stronger. If that's the case. Xiaohan didn't agree immediately. Instead, he pretended to be racking his brains to weigh the pros and cons. We'll listen to Brother Xiaohan. Brother Xiaohan's idea is the same as mine and Heizi's. Yu Yangzi said without hesitation. Fairy Zixia was stunned. She looked at Xiaohan suspiciously. She was puzzled. This mortal is too strange. He actually made 2 immortals admire him so much and listen to him. However, his points are abundant. Could it be that he has some extraordinary means or some powerful offensive celestial artifact? Thinking of this, Fairy Zixia asked in a seemingly unintentional manner. Little friend Xiaohan, looking at your points, you must have slaughtered hundreds of immortals. I'm really impressed. Does Brother Xiao have a powerful immortal weapon to help you? Points? Xiaohan pretended to be ignorant. Speaking of these points, I'm ashamed. Yesterday, I encountered an immortal who was on the verge of death. He had tens of thousands of points above his head and he was on his last breath. I caught him off guard and killed him with a sneak attack. I plundered a large number of points. This is also luck. As for immortal weapons, I don't have any. After all, I'm just a mortal. Even if I had immortal weapons, I wouldn't be able to use them to kill immortals. I see. Fairy Zixia nodded. Her doubts were dispelled and she spoke earnestly. Little friend Xiaohan, you don't have to worry about anything. If the three of you act alone, I'm afraid, sooner or later, you'll become meat on the chopping block. It's better to cooperate. Don't worry, Xiaohan, my young friend. You can trust us. You can ask Yu Yangzi in Black and White. When we were in the immortal world, we always followed the rules and didn't do anything outrageous, Zixia Fairy said solemnly after a pause. Besides, you're all Brother Jialanzi's friends. In the immortal world, Brother Jialanzi is a big shot that we can't afford to offend. Yes. With Brother Jialanzi as our backer, we don't have to worry about anything. Xiaohan pretended to be happy. But in his heart he sneered. At a time like this, Brother Jialanzi's name is not enough. Do you think I don't know about this? Good. The three of us will join Fairy Zixia's team. Let's work together. Fight to the death with that traitor Xing Qinzi. Fight to the end. Xiaohan said with great passion. Yes. Fairy Zixia nodded. But in her heart she was full of disdain. Just a fledgling. Ah. What do you mean by working together? How stupid. You're all fat sheep, pigs and dogs that my husband and I have raised. After we fatten you up, we'll slaughter you and take your points, dharma treasures and refining power. Especially this mortal Xiaohan. He has tens of thousands of points and hundreds of dharma treasures. Really? I can't help but want to kill him now. Then let's hurry up. About a few hundred miles away is where our team is stationed. It's also very secretive, Fairy Zixia said hurriedly. Okay. Xiaohan nodded. Then they flew at a low altitude toward the east. If we encounter other teams along the way, don't fight with them. After all, there are only 4 of us. If we fight, we'll be at a disadvantage. Let's meet up with my husband first, then come out to hunt those smaller teams, Fairy Zixia ordered. Okay, Fairy Zixia, will do as you say. Xiaohan didn't object. The 3 immortals and 1 person flew quickly. During the flight, Xiaohan didn't use the boots of divine speed. Instead, he deliberately used his true chi to fly. Therefore his flying speed was extremely slow. In the end it was Black and White who carried him. Fairy Zixia was full of disdain. In her heart, she was even more certain that Xiaohan was just lucky enough to kill a dying immortal with a lot of points. You guys, my husband and I will eat you up. Fairy Zixia's mouth twitched into a cold smile. The 4 of them flew for hundreds of miles, but they didn't encounter any other teams of immortals along the way. Soon, a huge volcano appeared in front of the 4 of them. My husband and the other immortals are at the foot of this volcano, Fairy Zixia said with a smile. At the same time, Fairy Zixia immediately used a special voice transmission technique to send a message to her husband. Big brother, I've tricked 2 immortals and a mortal. That mortal is a fat sheep with tens of thousands of points. However, we can make use of them first. Let them fight with other teams of immortals and then we'll take the opportunity to kill them. It's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Ah, sister, you're so smart. Fairy Zixia's husband, Heng Shanzi, immediately replied. The next moment, whoosh, 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 whoosh. Several beams of immortal light shot up from the foot of the volcano. There were 7 immortals lined up in a row. The leader of the group was handsome and elegant, with 15,000 points above his head. He was Fairy Zixia's husband, Heng Shanzi. Ah, I'm Heng Shanzi. Welcome to our team, friends. Heng Shanzi laughed loudly. His eyes swept around and finally stopped on Xiaohan. The muscles at the corners of his eyes twitched involuntarily. A strong sense of greed flashed in his eyes. Chapter 632. Xiaohan followed the snake and scorpion immortal and Fairy Zixia to the side of a volcano and met up with Fairy Zixia's husband, Heng Shanzi. Heng Shanzi also recruited a few immortals and formed a team. At this moment, Xiaohan saw 15,000 points above Heng Shanzi's head and over 100 dharma treasures floating in his dantian. Moreover, Xiaohan could clearly see that the refining power inside Heng Shanzi's body was continuously attacking one of the offensive dharma treasures, the golden dragon scissors. Xiaohan released his mind power and immortal will to carefully observe the golden dragon scissors. Soon, Xiaohan knew that once this offensive dharma treasure was refined, it could easily kill a level 3 true immortal at his peak. Could even kill an ordinary level 4 true immortal. It was indeed a very terrifying dharma treasure. However, the immortal will restriction on the surface of the golden dragon scissors had been refined by about half. The remaining half required more refining power to attack. Moreover, Heng Shanzi only focused on refining the golden dragon scissors and didn't touch the other 100 dharma treasures for the time being. First, he would refine the golden WIRM scissors for himself. Then he would consider refining other Dharma treasures. This was the way of the king. Xiao Han also scanned the other Dharma treasures in Heng Shanzi's dantian. Most of them were useless. Only a few of them were of good quality, but they weren't very useful to Xiao Han. There were 6 other immortals under Heng Shanzi's command. Each of them had thousands of points and dozens of Dharma treasures. Xiao Han quickly scanned them. Oh! Xiao Han soon discovered that among the 6 immortals, one of them, a square-faced immortal, had completely refined a magic treasure. The Eye of the Divine Eagle. This Dharma treasure was an auxiliary Dharma treasure that could increase the range of detection. In the 4th region, any immortal's celestial sense could only scan a few kilometers. Even Xiao Han, whose mind power was comparable to an immortal's, could only scan a few kilometers. However, the Eye of the Divine Eagle refined by this immortal with a square face could expand the detection range to about 20 kilometers. This was incredible. In such a dangerous situation where one could easily die in a life-and-death battle, being able to detect an inch more than the other competitors was an advantage. One more chance of survival. Impressive, this supportive Eye of the Divine Eagle is even more powerful than some offensive celestial artifacts. Xiao Han could not help but lick his lips. Then he continued to survey. Suddenly, Xiao Han found a bottle of pills in the dantian of a pointy-faced immortal. Supreme Battle Will Pill. This bottle of Supreme Battle Will Pill was actually a divine medicine that could strengthen the mind and soul. Xiao Han was even more shocked. One should know that Xiao Han's mental energy cultivation had already reached a bottleneck, and it was difficult for him to advance even an inch. Previously, Xiao Han had wanted to search for an elixir that could improve his mental energy and soul, but he had been searching everywhere to no avail. But now he had unintentionally found a miracle medicine for mental strength here. Great. That was great. I want to kill these immortals. Plundering their points, refining power and Dharma treasures. Snatch the Divine Eagle's Eye and the bottle of Supreme Battle Will pills. Xiao Han felt an itch in his heart. However, he forcefully restrained himself and maintained a polite expression on his face. Immortal Heng Shanzi, nice to meet you. We're here to seek refuge with you, Immortal Heng Shanzi. Thank you for your hospitality. Heng Shanzi and his subordinates stared greedily at the points above Xiao Han's head. Of course, they could not see through Xiao Han's dantian and could not see what kind of Dharma treasures were in his dantian. However, judging from the points, the number of Dharma treasures in Xiao Han's dantian was close to 400. 400 Dharma treasures. That was terrifying. Zixia is so capable. I can't believe she found such a fat pig. Tsk, as long as I kill this little mortal, my points will soar to the top 200 in the 4th region, right? Heng Shanzi's heart trembled. However, now was not the time to fight. Heng Shanzi's face was as smooth as jade, and he was elegant and graceful. It's fine. Don't stand on ceremony, everyone. Right now, Xing Qinzi is the biggest tumor in the 4th region. We should band together against a common enemy and deal with him. After a pause, Heng Shanzi squeezed out a warm smile and looked at Heizi and Yu Yangzi. Brothers. We even drank together during the great sect competition in the immortal world. Do the two of you still remember? Yes, brother Heng Shanzi, you're even more graceful than before, Heizi said with a smile. Moreover, you and Zixia Fairy are very famous among the younger generation of the immortal world. Ha! Well said, Heng Shanzi laughed heartily. Let's go to the place where we're staying. It's on the side of the volcano. Let's go. Whoosh, 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 a group of people descended. At the foot of the volcano, a simple village was built. Green vines coiled around the trees. The vines were lush and the trees were green with flowers. The scenery was also very tranquil. Some wooden houses were built in the middle of the village. It's so comfortable here, Xiao Han said sincerely as he looked around. Haha, little brother Xiao Han, this place was built by you and your wife, Heng Shanzi said with a smile. Then he and Zixia Fairy looked at each other and laughed. Their smiles were very subtle, and the hidden meaning behind them was unfathomable. Then let's rest here today. Tomorrow we'll go hunting together and kill those small teams to gain points, Dharma treasures and refining power, Heng Shanzi ordered casually. Xiao Han said deliberately. Immortal Heng Shanzi, Zixia Fairy, immortals, I also have some concerns. Oh? Heng Shanzi frowned. Little brother Xiao Han, what concerns do you have? Can you tell us so that we can study it together? Immortal Heng Shanzi, Xing Qinzi is very powerful. He has nearly 100 immortals under him. Moreover, Xing Qinzi himself seems to have refined an extremely terrifying offensive Dharma treasure. Xiaohan pretended to be afraid. Well, I'll tell you the truth. Immortal Heng Shanzi, our team only has a dozen people. How can we fight against Xing Qinzi's team? Not to mention Xing Qinzi's team, I'm afraid that we can't even fight against some of the more powerful teams. Oh. Heng Shanzi glanced at Xiaohan and laughed out loud. Little brother Xiaohan, it's normal for you to have such worries. However, this brother will reveal something to brother Xiao. After a pause, Heng Shanzi's face was full of confidence. He glanced disdainfully at Black and White Zi, Yu Yangzi, and the immortals behind him. I, Heng Shanzi, am currently refining an offensive Dharma treasure in my Dantian. All the refinement power I've obtained has been used to refine this Dharma treasure, and I'm almost done with it. The power of this Dharma treasure is enough to kill level 3 or 4 true immortals. Once I control this Dharma treasure, I won't be too afraid of Xing Qinzi or other immortals. Also, Brother Shanzi has refined a scouting auxiliary Dharma treasure that can predict the enemy's moves. Heng Shanzi looked at the square-faced immortal who had refined the divine eagle's eye in his body. I'm not that talented, but I've refined an auxiliary Dharma treasure that has a wide scouting range. This way we can compete with each other in every aspect. The square-faced immortal said proudly. Let's put it this way. In the entire 4th region, even Xing Qinzi's celestial sense can't cover as far as mine. Although we're not as strong as Xing Qinzi, we can predict the enemy's movements in advance. Once we notice Xing Qinzi's team approaching us, we can retreat in advance. In other words, although we're not strong enough to fight Xing Qinzi and his huge teams, we don't have to worry about being surrounded and killed. Moreover, we have an advantage in hunting other teams. Everyone, as long as each of us can successfully refine a Dharma treasure, Xing Qinzi won't be a threat at all. Heng Shanzi said ambitiously. I see. Xiaohan pretended to be enlightened. Now, through observation and probing, Xiaohan had already figured out the situation of Heng Shanzi's team. Alright, little brother Xiaohan, let's have a good rest today and conserve our energy. Tomorrow we'll hunt. Heng Shanzi ordered. Yes, Xiaohan replied obediently. Brother Shanzi, thank you for your hard work. Please pay more attention and observe the surroundings. Once there are any changes, we'll retreat immediately, Heng Shanzi instructed the square-faced immortal. Big brother Heng Shanzi, don't worry. Shan Shanzi smiled confidently and floated in the air with his legs crossed. A divine eagle totem flashed between his brows. His eyes became misty and deep. He scanned the surroundings as if he could see through the void and discover the truth. Big brother Fisharm, big brother Hei Bai Zi, let's catch up. Xiaohan quietly went to a simple wooden hut with Fisharm and Hei Bai Zi. Sigh. This time's adventure was much more dangerous than we had imagined. After sitting down, Yu Yangzi sighed with lingering fear. Su Huaizi's death had a huge impact on me. In the immortal world I was friends with Su Huaizi. Although he was pedantic at times, he was extremely talented in cultivation of immortal arts. He was wise and resourceful. I can't believe he died in the preliminaries. Xiaohan and Hei Bai Zi were saddened at the mention of this matter. Xiaohan sighed. I wonder how my senior brothers and sect master are doing. Also, big brother Jialan Zi, I wonder if he succeeded in breaking through the encirclement. Brother Jialan is very powerful. This preliminaries won't be a problem for him, Fisharm and Hei Bai Zi said in unison. Suddenly, Hei Bai Zi shut his mouth and used his psyche to communicate with Xiaohan through the soul. Brother Xiaohan, can we trust this Heng Shanzi completely? Night. Heng Shanzi and Fairy Zixia were sitting in a wooden hut. Shan Shanzi and another immortal were also there. The 4 of them did not speak, but they were communicating through the soul. Husband, when do we make our move? Fairy Zixia looked anxious. The corner of Heng Shanzi's eye twitched slightly. He transmitted his voice to Fairy Zixia, Shan Shanzi, and the other immortal. Apart from the 4 of us, we can't trust anyone else. We have to kill them. However, it won't be easy for us to kill them with just the 4 of us. Therefore, tomorrow we'll form a team and go hunting. When we fight, they'll charge in front while we wait for them at the back. We'll make use of them to fight the other teams of immortals. When both sides are injured, we'll attack. Chapter 633. While Heng Shanzi and the other immortals were in cahoots and discussing how to deal with Xiaohan and the others, Xiaohan, Heiheizi, and Yu Yangzi were secretly communicating with soul telepathy. Big brother Heiheizi, big brother Yu Yangzi, it's hard to trust Heng Shanzi and his wife in this fierce competition. However, don't worry, I'm here to guarantee your safety. Xiao Han's expression was extremely serious. My plan is to help you kill more immortals and obtain the power of refinement so that you can refine the offensive Dharma treasures in your Dantian. Then you'll have the foundation to protect yourselves. You won't have to rely on others to protect yourselves. Although Xiao Han was an ordinary person, Black White Z and Yu Yangzi firmly believed in his words and his promise. Xiao Han had also observed. Although Yu Yangzi and He Z didn't have many Dharma treasures in their Dantian, there were still some offensive Dharma treasures. If they could obtain enough power of refinement and make the offensive Dharma treasures their own, they wouldn't be easily killed by others. They would have no problem protecting themselves. Right. In the 4th district, only the 3 of us can trust each other. The other immortals might betray us for their own benefits, Yu Yangzi said in realization. Xiao Han rubbed his nose. If I'm not wrong, Heng Shanzi and the others will take action tomorrow? After a pause, Xiao Han stood up and stretched. Big brothers, rest early. See you tomorrow. Brother Xiao Han, rest well too. Yu Yangzi and He Z stood up and said goodbye. Xiao Han lay on the wooden bed. The starlight seeped in through the window. It was dreamy and illusory. At the same time, Xiao Han's psychic energy also keenly sensed that there was an extremely powerful soul energy that was staring at him like a maggot in his bones. It was constantly monitoring him. Not far from Xiao Han's wooden house, Shan Lianzi sat cross-legged in the air under the moonlight. His gaze could see through everything and covered a large area. However, he had separated a trace of his divine soul to monitor Xiao Han closely. To this, Xiao Han didn't mind. His heart was filled with killing intent as he thought to himself. Shan Lianzi? Your godly eagle's eye is indeed very mysterious. However, this supportive Dharma treasure is not as powerful as it used to be. It will soon belong to me, Xiao Han. The next day. Early morning. Everyone, you must have had a good rest last night. Heng Shanzi and Zixia Fairy walked out of the wooden house hand in hand. Today Heng Shanzi looked refreshed and in high spirits, making him look extremely handsome and elegant. Zixia Fairy nestled next to Heng Shanzi like a little bird. Xiao Han, Black and White Child, Yu Yangzi, Shan Lianzi, and the other immortals all gathered at the center of the wooden huts. Ladies and gentlemen, immortals die every day in the 4th region. I'm afraid that the number of immortals who have survived to this day is far greater than the number of immortals who have died. There were less than 5,000 of them left. The points we have now are far from enough. We can't hide. We have to take the initiative to attack. Heng Shanzi said proudly. Today let's leave this place and hunt. After a pause, Heng Shanzi looked at the mountain range. Brother Shanluanzi, why don't you tell the others about the hunting plan? No problem, Shan Lianzi said with a smile as he took a step forward. Our hunting plan is very simple. I'll survey the area with the divine eagle's eye. Once we find a small group, we'll launch a sneak attack. Of course, if we find a large group, we'll avoid them in advance. Shan Lianzi paused for a moment and said with a frown. However, when I use the divine eagle's eye to survey, I'll be very focused, which won't be good for killing. Therefore, there must be someone by my side to protect me. That's right, Brother Shan Luanzi. You're using this celestial artifact to scout, so you'll definitely be focused on it. If you get into a fight, you'll be easily injured. You're the most important part of our team. If you don't scout ahead, our small team definitely won't be able to fight against the other teams. This is a very important matter, so I, Heng Shanzi, will personally protect you. Heng Shanzi stood next to Shan Lianzi with a righteous look on his face. At the same time, Zixia Fairy also leaned over. The other immortal who participated in the conspiracy last night also said with a smile. Brother Shanluanzi, don't worry and survey. I'll be by your side to protect you during the battle. I won't let you die. Haha. Alright, it'll just be me, my wife, and Brother Huianzi. We'll protect Brother Shanluanzi closely, Heng Shanzi said with a smile. Little Brother Xiaohan, Brothers He and He, Brother Yu Yangzi. When the battle begins, the few of you will be the vanguard. Ah. But don't worry, although we, my wife and Brother Huianzi are mainly responsible for protecting Shanluanzi, we'll definitely lend you a helping hand during the battle. Alright, Brother Shanluanzi does indeed need protection. Xiaohan smiled innocently, then casually glanced at Heng Shanzi, Zixia Fairy, Shanluanzi, and Huianzi. You already knew. There are only 4 people in this team and they're colluding with each other. The rest are just cannon fodder. Good, very good. If the battle really begins, the first people I'll kill will be you. The other immortals didn't say much about Heng Shanzi's arrangement. Since no one has any objections, let's go. Heng Shanzi said with a bright smile. Then, with a flash of immortal light, he shot up into the sky. I hope we'll be able to gain something today and return with a full load. Whoosh, 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 the group of people began to fly. At the front of the group were Xiaohan, Yu Yangzi and He. At the back of the group were Heng Shanzi, Shanluanzi, Zixia Fairy and Huianzi. The remaining 4 immortals were in the middle of the group, unaware that they had been betrayed. Soon the group passed the volcano and flew toward the west. As they flew, every immortal, including Xiaohan, wore solemn expressions. Their soul and mind power spread out in all directions, observing every inch of space around them for the slightest movement. Currently, the competition in Division 4 had reached its most intense stage. Anyone can become a hunter. Similarly, anyone could become a prey. Among them, the most nervous person was undoubtedly Shanluanzi. The divine eagle's eye shot out from between Shanluanzi's eyebrows. It was overflowing with colors and glistened brilliantly. It could scan an area of 20 li. Could be said that Shanluanzi was now the leader of the team. His observation, intelligence, and decisions would completely determine the fate of the team. Shanluanzi became more and more nervous. His face was also slightly distorted and he seemed to be extremely surprised. Shanluanzi understood that battles, deaths, and killings could happen at any time. Brother Shanluanzi, don't be too nervous, Heng Shanzi quickly comforted him in a low voice. Calm down. Xiaohan, who was flying in front, did not think much of it. He turned around and sneered disdainfully. This Shanluanzi is really an idiot. He has such a great initiative and can discover the whereabouts of the other immortals in advance. He's completely undefeatable. Yet he's still so afraid. This person won't amount to much. The divine eagle's eye was obtained by Shanluanzi. It's like casting pearls before swine. Brother Heng Shanzi, let me calm down. I'm fine. Shanluanzi let out a breath. He adjusted his breathing. At that moment, boom, 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 in front of him was a team of immortals. They were aggressive and had a strong lineup. They were heading toward him. The immortal leading the team was wearing a long golden robe. He had 140,000 points above his head and was surrounded by immortal chi. There were more than 50 immortals behind him. This was an extremely powerful team. Hiss. Shanluanzi's divine eagle's eye had discovered the team of immortals that was charging at them from 20 li away. Of course, the team of immortals did not notice Xiaohan's team. Run. 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 Shanluanzi yelled in fear. Brother Shanluanzi, this. Heng Shanzi was stunned. Quick. Retreat. Dozens of immortals were charging at them. The immortal leading them has more than 100,000 points and has refined Dharma treasures. There are 54 immortals behind him. They can destroy us easily. Go. Hurry. Or else it'll be too late. Shanluanzi was extremely afraid of death. His voice was trembling and his body was shaking. Go. Heng Shanzi made up his mind. The team immediately turned around and ran in the opposite direction of the team of immortals. After running for 100 li, Shanluanzi let out a sigh of relief. All right, they didn't discover our whereabouts. They didn't chase after us. Everyone, we can't fight against such a powerful team. So, let's hold it in for now, Heng Shanzi comforted them. Once we obtain enough power to refine all of our Dharma treasures, we'll be able to crush that team just now. After a pause, Heng Shanzi looked at Shanluanzi. Brother Shanluanzi, continue to investigate. Just like that, it was dusk. Shanluanzi found a total of 4 teams of immortals, but he didn't attack them. The 4 teams were extremely powerful. There were more than 50 immortals in each team. They were not a team that Xiaohan and the immortals next to him could fight against. This made Heng Shanzi and Zixia Fairy look irritated and impatient. The husband and wife were also exchanging glances with each other. They began to communicate with each other through their souls. Husband, we can't deal with any of the teams we encountered today. It'll be a waste of time if we continue like this. Otherwise, Zixia Fairy glanced at Xiaohan out of the corner of her eye while communicating with Heng Shanzi. A murderous look flashed across her eyes. We might as well kill this mortal and take his points, Dharma treasures, and refining power. Maybe after we get the refining power in this kid's body, you can successfully obtain the golden dragon scissors that you've been dreaming of. Well, Heng Shanzi was hesitant. Xiaohan saw all of this and sneered inwardly. Can't hold it in anymore and want to fight? I'm ready for battle as well. Xiaohan maintained a harmless expression on his face, even a little humble and pitiful, so as not to arouse any suspicion from the immortals. However, wait. Shanluanzi growled again. There's a team of immortals on the left. There are 6 of them. Only 6 of them. Oh? 6 people? Heng Shanzi quickly calmed himself down and said sternly. Brother Shanluanzi, look carefully. Are there really only 6 people? What are the points of these 6 people? To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian and vote for it. Your support is my greatest motivation. For mobile users, please read it at M. Qidian. 9. Chapter 634. Xiao Han, Heng Shanzi, and the other immortals feigned civility and came out to hunt. However, even with Shanluanzi's superior scouting ability as a guarantee, the day's hunt did not go smoothly. The teams of immortals that they encountered along the way were all extremely powerful. This team did not dare to covet them. On the contrary, Shanluanzi, Heng Shanzi, and the other immortals were on tenterhooks. Xiao Han despised the behavior and courage of these immortals. However, at dusk there was finally good news. Shanluanzi was trembling with excitement. His face was flushed and his eyes were bulging. Yes. It's only a team of 6. They're about 15. 6 li away from us. They're moving very slowly and all of them look anxious. It's a very weak team. Brother Shanluanzi, look at their points. Heng Shanzi's breathing quickened. All of them have less than 10,000 points. The immortal with the most points is the leader, who has 4,200 points. The rest have 3,800 points, 2,400 points. There's even someone with 1,200 points. Judging from their points, this team must be extremely weak. Shanluanzi had thoroughly observed the situation of the 6-man team. This was the advantage of the eye of the godly eagle. It could spy on the target from afar without the target noticing. Xiao Han's soul power spread out like a fishing net, trying his best to capture the situation in his surroundings. However, within the range of Xiao Han's mental scan, there was no movement at all. Xiao Han did not discover the team of 6. After all, Xiao Han's soul power was in the 4th region. It was greatly restricted. At most, he could only observe a range of 4 to 5 li. That was the limit. It was far from the range of 20 li that the eye of the godly eagle could observe. Therefore, Xiao Han was drooling over the eye of the godly eagle. The team of 6 is approaching us. Shanluanzi said excitedly. They're about 12 to 3 li away from us. Brother Heng Shanzi, quickly allocate the manpower. All right. Heng Shanzi said hoarsely. The other side has 6 people. They must have been extremely dismal and their strength is lacking. Therefore, Brother Black and White, Brother Fish Arm, Little Brother Xiao Han, Brother Autumn Sword. The 7 of you will directly charge forward and break through the enemy lines. Strive to kill 2 of them in an instant with lightning speed. Heng Shanzi's expression. It also became slightly ferocious. Everyone, there are only 6 of them. If the 7 of you rush over, you'll have the advantage in numbers. Moreover, they don't know that we're like tigers lying on the side. If we suddenly launch a sneak attack, we'll definitely catch them off guard. It's definitely possible to kill 2 people in an instant. Brothers Black and White, the 7 of you will go prepared. Gather your celestial force and attack 2 of the 6-man team. Kill them all. Then I, Shanluanzi, Huianzi, and Zixia will gather our strength and kill 2 more. The remaining 2 will be killed by the 11 of us in one fell swoop. This plan is very thorough. It'll only take a few breaths to wipe out the 6-man team and obtain their points, Dharma treasures and refining power. Heng Shanzi said decisively. That's a great plan. Zixia Fairy echoed. Xiao Han and the others exchanged glances. Xiao Han shrugged and said. All right, let's follow Brother Heng Shanzi's plan. After a pause, Xiao Han looked at Heiheizi and Yu Yangzi. Brothers, let's charge. We'll be at the forefront and join forces with the other 4 immortal brothers to kill 2 of the 6 people. Brother Heng Shanzi will take care of the rest. Okay. Black and White and Fish Arm said in unison. At the same time, Fish Arm took out an immortal dagger from his storage ring. Black and White took out an immortal artifact in the shape of a chessboard. As for the other 4 immortals, they were not Heng Shanzi's trusted subordinates and were used as cannon fodder by Heng Shanzi this time. They had no idea about Heng Shanzi's plot. Instead, they took out their immortal items and said to Xiao Han. Let's go. Let's go. Xiao Han unleashed his true chi and flew toward the 6-man team at a low altitude. Yu Yangzi and Heiheizi followed closely behind, one on the left and one on the right. The 4 cannon fodder immortals also followed behind, their fighting spirit rising. Ha! Heng Shanzi stood on the spot and watched Xiao Han and the other 6 immortals leave. His expression suddenly darkened and became extremely ferocious. Behind him, Shanzi, Zixia Fairy, and Huianzi approached him at the same time. Their faces were filled with eagerness. The 4 of them quickly transmitted their voices to each other. TSK, the 6-man team and the 7 idiots before us are 13 people in total. After we kill them, we'll obtain a huge amount of points, Dharma treasures and refining power. Heng Shanzi was extremely greedy. We've made a fortune this time. We've made a fortune. After a pause, Heng Shanzi's attitude became extremely firm and domineering. I'll kill that mortal Xiao Han. Don't snatch it. Killing Xiao Han will give us tens of thousands of points and hundreds of Dharma treasures. I'm sure he has a lot of refining power stored in his body as well. How about this? I'll take the mortal Xiao Han black and white and fish arm. I'll take 2 from the 6-man team. You can split the rest among yourselves. After this, I'll definitely be able to refine the golden WIRM scissors in my body perfectly. At that time I'll have a place in the 4th realm. I'm afraid even the sons of the stars will try to win me over. Zixia Fairy and the others didn't have any objections to this arrangement. Big brother Heng Shanzi, what should we do? Shan Shanzi asked, licking his lips. Listen, let's follow them now. After they fight, we'll take our time to make our move. After they kill 2 of the 6 people, they'll definitely counterattack. At that time, it'll be 7 against 4. However, Xiao Han is just an ordinary person, so his combat power is negligible. That means it'll be 6 against 4. We'll stay behind and wait for a while. Don't make a move. When they're both injured, we'll directly kill them. Kill them all. Don't let a single one of them go. Later we'll use our strongest immortal tool. All right. Let's go, the battle is about to begin. Heng Shanzi led Shan Shanzi, Zixia Fairy, and Huianzi to follow Xiao Han and the others. They were secretly adjusting their fighting conditions and preparing for their strongest attack. Xiao Han and the others flew slowly at a low altitude. At the same time, Black and White and Fish Arm were communicating with Xiao Han through soul transmission. Brother Xiao Han, later on, the 3 of us can directly kill one of those 6 people. Yu Yangzi quickly said. We can kill the other 4. Indeed, we can easily kill 2 of the 6-man team's immortals with a sneak attack, Black and White said. Brother Xiao Han, do you think there's a trap? There must be a trap. Xiao Han finally said what he was thinking. This. Hearing this, Fish Arm and Black and White panicked. Hearing this, Fish Cripple and Black and White were both flustered. Brothers, don't be anxious. Xiao Han was extremely calm. I've been prepared for such a drastic change. Heng Shanzi, Shenluanzi, Zixia Fairy, and Huianzi stayed at the end of today's hunt and instigated us to go first. It's weird. Moreover, when I was assigning tasks, I sensed the subtle changes in the divine souls of Heng Shanzi, Shenluanzi, and the others. They must be plotting something. If I'm not mistaken, Heng Shanzi and the others won't help us immediately when we're fighting with the 6-man squad. They'll wait until we're injured and then kill us together. Despicable. Yu Yangzi and Black and White believed Xiao Han's words without a doubt. Heck, 2 big brothers, in fact, isn't this also an opportunity for us? Xiao Han's heart was also burning with passion. Heng Shanzi and the others want to kill us, but we can also kill them. Brother Xiao Han, will do as you say, Black and White Child and Yu Yangzi said. Later we'll still attack the 6-man squad. We'll kill one of them and let the other 4 immortals kill the second one. Then we'll conserve our strength and don't go all out against the remaining members of the 6-man squad. After that, Xiao Han's eyes flashed with killing intent. Brother Black and White Child, Brother Yu Yangzi, join forces and kill Zixia Fairy. As for Heng Shanzi, Shenluanzi, and Huianzi, I'll kill them. Brother Xiao Han, you're fighting 1 against 3 this. Black and White Child hesitated slightly. Xiao Han smiled confidently and said, This is also a sudden sneak attack. I'm 90% confident. Okay. Black and White Child and Yu Yangzi chose to believe Xiao Han unconditionally. Xiao Han paused for a moment, then turned around and smiled at the 4 immortals behind him. For big brothers, I'm just a mortal. When we're fighting, Xiao Han will stay behind and watch the battle. If I encounter an immortal in a head-on battle, I'll be ashamed. Umph. The 4 immortals were cold and arrogant. They looked at Xiao Han disdainfully. One of them sneered. Mortal, go back and hide in the back. I'm afraid your attack won't be able to break through an immortal's defense. Yes, I know my limits. Xiao Han's lips curled into a cold smile. Then he circled behind the 4 immortals. They shivered. Black and White Child and Yu Yangzi flew in front without batting an eyelid. Behind Xiaohan were Heng Shanzi, Shenluanzi, Zixia Fairy and Huoyanzi. That mortal Xiaohan is hiding behind me? Huoyanzi was startled. Zixia Fairy sneered. He's just a mortal. In a real fight he wouldn't dare to fight an immortal head-on. Such a lowly thing can only rely on sneak attacks to kill immortals on the verge of death. Husband, you should kill Xiaohan later. Yes, we'll act according to the original plan. Heng Shanzi smiled confidently. At this moment, everyone pay attention. We're 5 li away from the 6-man squad. They should be able to find us soon. Prepare to attack. Don't wait for them to discover us. Attack immediately. Catch them off guard. Shenluanzi immediately sent a soul message to warn everyone. To be continued. Chapter 635. Shan Lianzi used the Divine Eagle's Eye to closely observe the situation of the 6-man team. The two sides were about to approach each other. The battle was about to begin. The black and white immortal force in front of the team had already gathered all the immortal force in their bodies. Their goal was to kill anyone in the 6-man team. Of course, they would choose the person with the least points to attack. The 4 immortals behind the black and white immortal force had communicated and prepared to ambush the leader of the 6-man team, the immortal with the most points. If the 4 of them joined forces and used their strongest killing move, they would definitely be able to kill the leader of the 6-man team. Xiaohan, on the other hand, was gathering his immortal body's divine power. His mental wave was firmly locked onto Heng Shanzi and the others behind him. A 6-man team. At this moment, the 6-man team had no idea that a great disaster was about to befall them. Every member of the 6-man team was extremely cautious. They had already extended their immortal senses to the limit and were constantly scouting. Everyone, there are no traces of other immortal teams nearby. It seems that this area is relatively safe. The leader of the 6-man team heaved a sigh of relief. Our strategy is to focus on stability. As he spoke, the leader also smiled. As a matter of fact, as long as we get into the top 100 of this area, we can pass the preliminaries. Our team's strength is relatively weak, so we can't compete with those large teams. So, we have to stabilize and protect ourselves first, and try our best not to encounter other teams. When the other teams compete and kill each other, who knows, maybe in the end, we can even be the fisherman who reaps the benefits without doing anything. Ah. Yes, when those teams compete and kill each other, we'll protect ourselves and take advantage of the situation. The other 5 immortals also laughed. At the same time, Xiaohan and the others were ready to pounce. At this moment, the black and white immortal force, fish immortal force and many other immortals were standing still. Their immortal chi was also gathered to the limit. Each of them was holding an immortal artifact or dharma treasure that they carried with them. Kill? Suddenly Heng Shanzi gave the order. Whoosh, 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 the first to bear the brunt. Azi Yu Yangzi, and the other 4 immortals charged forward like bolts of lightning. Xiaohan quietly followed behind. At this moment, Xiaohan was monitoring the movements of Heng Shanzi and the others behind him. On the other hand, he was secretly watching He Zi and Yulang Zi. Once the 2 of them were in danger, Xiaohan would not hesitate to help them. Of course, Heng Shanzi and the other immortals behind him were also highly focused and ready for their ultimate moves. Before the misfortune befell the team of 6, there was no prediction at all. All of a sudden. Boom. First, 2 streams of immortal chi shot out and killed one of the immortals with 2,400 points hovering above his head. The immortal body exploded. Multicolored light shot out in all directions. The Dharma treasures, the power of refinement, and the points in his body all fell out. This was the joint attack of Fish Stem and Black and White Child. This attack was a complete sneak attack. The other party was completely unprepared. It should be noted that the immortal who was killed was about as strong as Yulang Zi. Now that he was unprepared, Fish Stem and Black and White Child joined forces to kill him. The immortal was instantly killed. Because it was the black and white players' attacks that had caused the immortal's death, the points, the magical items, and the power of refinement were all taken by the black and white players. In the blink of an eye, the points hovering above the black and white players' heads approached 5,000. Roar! Enemy attack! Enemy attack! The leader of the team of 6 was the first to react. His immortal chi exploded and he let out a heart-wrenching scream. However, boom, 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 boom. 4 streams of immortal light gathered at the same time and blasted at him. Bang! The leader of the team of 6 had just shouted when his body was hit by the 4 attacks. His immortal body exploded and he died. Dropped. His 4,200 points, all his Dharma treasures and power of refinement were taken by one of the 4 immortals. Sure enough, just as Heng Shanzi had planned, the team of 6 lost 2 people in a single exchange. After the first wave of attacks, the remaining 4 people of the team of 6 quickly reacted. The remaining 4 immortals were shocked and furious. However, under such circumstances, they completely understood that since they had been discovered and hunted, they would not rest until one of them was dead. There was no logic to it. If you don't kill, they will kill you. Kill? The blood of their teammates caused the 4 immortals' eyes to turn bloodshot. They fought with all their might. They even burned all the immortal chi in their bodies to counterattack at all costs. This was a counterattack before death. It was extremely powerful. At this moment, Xiao Han immediately said to Black and White Child and Fish Seedling, "Big brothers, don't fight them head-on now. Use your movement techniques to deal with these 4 fellows who are like cornered beasts. Don't fight. Try to avoid them and pretend to fight." Understood. Black and White Child and Fish Stem immediately responded. Therefore Black and White Child and Fish Stem put on an act and roared loudly. However, their figures kept flashing and they did not fight the 4 immortals head-on. On Xiao Han's side, the 4 immortals who had killed the leader of the team of 6 did not pretend to fight. They immediately went forward and used their unique skills to fight the remaining 4 people. At the same time, the 4 immortals sent a voice transmission to Heng Shanzi's soul. "Big brother Heng Shanzi, our plan succeeded. Now you guys attack too. Let's work together to kill the remaining 4 evildoers." However, at this moment Heng Shanzi, Shan Lianzi, Zixia Fairy, and Hou Yanzi stood side by side. They did not move at all and did not have any intention to attack. There was even a cold expression on their faces. Let's wait until both sides are injured. Heng Shanzi suppressed the restlessness in his heart. Soon we'll be able to obtain a large number of points, Dharma treasures and refining power. We're close to success. The battle soon reached its climax. In fact, this was a battle of 4 against 4. Fish Stem, Black and White Child and Xiao Han did not attack at all. Fish Stem and Black and White Child were fine. Although they did not attack, immortal chi rose from their bodies and radiated dazzling light. They shouted continuously, "Kill! Kill! Kill!" They had controlled their momentum well enough. However, Xiao Han did not do anything. He stood on the spot and did not move an inch. The surviving immortal of the team of 6 did not hesitate to shatter his left arm in exchange for a palm strike. The surviving immortal of the team of 6 even chopped off the left leg of an immortal on Xiao Han's side. It was a 4 versus 4 battle. The sky was dark, but there was no distinction between them. Both sides had taken damage. After a few breaths, 8 immortals had their limbs severed. Immortal blood gushed out of their mouths. Heng Shanzi. The 4 immortals on Xiao Han's side could not bear it anymore and roared crazily. "Attack now!" Shan Luanzi shouted in an extremely displeased manner. "Black and White Child, Fish Stem, why are you putting on airs over there? Kill!" The scene was a little chaotic. Heng Shanzi, on the other hand, was observing the situation and assessing the situation. "It's almost time. Get ready to attack. I'll kill that mortal Xiao Han." Zixia, Shan Lianzi, Hou Yanzi, you guys charge forward and pretend to kill the remaining members of the team of 6. In fact, attack those 2 idiots, Fish Stem and Black and White Child. At the same time, Xiao Han sensed the subtle change in Heng Shanzi's emotions. He deeply felt Heng Shanzi's killing intent and aura. "Brother Black and White Child, brother Fish Stem, you guys work together to kill Fairy Zixia. I'll take care of the rest." Xiao Han sent a thought and an immortal light burst out from his feet. Boots of divine speed activated. Maximum speed increased by 5 times. Speed comparable to a level 4 true immortal. Swoosh, in the midst of the chaos, Xiao Han's figure flashed, leaving behind an afterimage. He was already closing in on Heng Shanzi. His speed was so fast that no one could react in time. Heng Shanzi was only a level 2 true immortal. His speed was definitely not comparable to a level 4 true immortal. Moreover, part of his attention was on the battlefield. Moreover, he was very confident about his plan. He thought that he had taken every possibility into consideration and had the situation under control. The next thing he needed to do was to kill and seize the benefits. However, he had never expected that Xiao Han, a mortal who had never shown his strength, would also plot against him. And he was one step ahead of him. By the time Heng Shanzi realized what was going on, Xiao Han had already rushed over and punched at him. This punch was like the eruption of thousands of volcanoes. This punch was like the fall of thousands of meteorites. This punch was not the strength of a mortal. It was the strength of 40 celestial dragons. Bang! The punch landed on Heng Shanzi's body and created a pit. Bang! 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 Without any hesitation, Xiao Han punched 3 more times. One hit Heng Shanzi's head, one hit his chest, and the last hit his dantian. Ah! Heng Shanzi let out a heart-wrenching scream before he died. His scream was filled with fear, despair, surprise, unwillingness, and regret. Heng Shanzi was smashed into pieces by Xiao Han. When Heng Shanzi died, Zixia Fairy also screamed in horror. She and Heng Shanzi had been husband and wife for many years, so they had a tacit understanding. As soon as Heng Shanzi died, she felt a sharp pain in her heart and immediately fell into a state of dullness and grief. In the blink of an eye, just as Zixia Fairy was bursting into tears and sinking into the state of a clay sculpture, Black and White Sun and Yu Yangzi had already charged over. Puff! Puff! 2 rays of immortal light. One penetrated Fairy Zixia's dantian, and the other chopped off her left arm. On the other side, the moment Xiao Han killed Heng Shanzi, he dashed to the front of Shan Lianzi and Hui Yanzi at a ghostly speed without any hesitation. He stretched out his left and right arms and clawed at them. His left hand grabbed Shanzi's head, and his right hand grabbed Huiyanzi's head. Bang! Bang! 2 people's heads exploded. In fact, when Black and White Zi and Yu Yangzi joined hands to kill Fairy Zixia, Xiao Han had already crushed Shanzi and Huiyanzi's heads. Xiao Han's speed was indescribable. In just a few breaths, Heng Shanzi was dead. Zixia Fairy was dead. Shanzi was dead. Huiyanzi was dead. Chapter 636. The husband and wife, Heng Shanzi and Zixia Fairy, had schemed against human lives, but they did not expect that man's plan would fail. They had harmed themselves instead of harming others. They had completely fallen into Xiao Han's hands. Taking advantage of the great disparity in speed, Xiao Han directly killed Heng Shanzi, Shan Wanzi, and Flame Zhanzi when they were caught off guard by surprise. Suddenly, violent points, refining power, and Dharma treasures surged into Xiao Han's body. Xiao Han obtained the Eye of the Divine Eagle from Shanlianzi's body, and the Supreme Battle Will Pill from Huawanzi's body. Moreover, after killing the 3 immortals, Xiao Han's points skyrocketed from 38,328 to 61,298. 3 streams of refining power surged into Xiao Han's dantian and were stored by him. At this moment, the 8 immortals who were fighting each other were already seriously injured. It was a situation where both sides suffered losses. The sudden death of Heng Shanzi and the other immortals caused the 8 immortals to stop fighting and look over in confusion and shock. At this moment, Brother Heizi, Brother Yu Yangzi, kill! Xiao Han roared. Big brothers, your points and power of refinement aren't very high. You'll have to personally kill these 8 immortals and take their points, magical treasures, and power of refinement. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Han's figure flashed and he charged forward. Bang! 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 8 loud sounds. Xiao Han suddenly punched out 8 times at lightning speed, bombarding the bodies of the 8 immortals. This caused them to be even more injured. All of them vomited blood. Kill the Black and White children and fish seedling. Heizi and Yu Yangzi also reacted and charged forward. In the end, Heizi and Yu Yangzi easily killed 4 seriously injured immortals each and plundered a large number of points, Dharma treasures, and refining power. This way, the points floating above Heizi and Yu Yangzi's heads had reached tens of thousands. The hundreds of Dharma treasures in their bodies were shining together. Brother Xiao Han, we did it. Black White Zi and Yu Yangzi both let out cries of pleasant surprise. Apart from joy, their voices also contained waves of disbelief. At this point, even Black White Child and Yu Yangzi found it hard to believe that they could kill so many immortals and obtain so many points. This was like a dream. That's right, if I hadn't met Xiao Han. If it wasn't for Xiao Han, Black and White Sun and Yu Yangzi would not have been able to kill so many immortals. Instead, they might have been killed by Zixia Fairy's scheme. In other words, Xiao Han had saved the lives of Hei Bai Zi and Yu Lang Zi. Brothers, let's leave this place first and find a secluded place to digest what we've learned today, Xiao Han said. Then he took out his storage ring and collected all the immortal corpses floating in the sky. Go! The three of them immediately left the place. Night. Xiao Han, Black and White Sun, and Yu Yangzi quietly arrived at a quiet valley. Xiao Han activated his mental power and looked around to make sure that there were no other immortals within a few miles. Brothers, we'll rest here tonight. We'll probably stay here for the next few days, Xiao Han said as he sorted out his words. Brothers, both of you have obtained quite a lot of refinement energy today. Now both of you should try to refine one of the offensive treasures in your dantian. As for me, I will refine the Eye of the Divine Eagle. Under the moonlight, Xiao Han's face showed an optimistic attitude. As long as you each refine an immortal treasure and I control the Eye of the Divine Eagle, we'll have enough resources in the 4th region to compete with other immortal teams. Good. Brother Xiao Han, the refining power in our bodies is indeed enough. Previously, after we obtained the power of refinement, we started to refine offensive celestial artifacts as well. However, we didn't have enough power of refinement, so we couldn't completely master offensive celestial artifacts. Now, I reckon that after obtaining so much power of refinement, everything will be easily solved. Black and White Child and Yu Yangzi were eager to give it a try. After the three of them talked for a while, they each chose a secluded corner in the valley and sat down cross-legged to look at their dantians. Xiao Han sat behind a sharp rock that was several feet tall in the valley. He looked at his heart with his eyes closed. He looked inside himself with his mental power. At this moment, more than 600 Dharma treasures were spinning in Xiao Han's dantian. It could be said that they were twinkling like stars. Among the Dharma treasures, there were some offensive immortal treasures, defensive immortal armors, and some immortal treasures with special functions. After Heng Shanzi was killed, the golden WRM scissors that Heng Shanzi had refined halfway appeared in Xiao Han's dantian. However, Xiao Han understood that with his identity as a mortal, even if he refined these offensive and defensive immortal treasures, it would be difficult for him to unleash their true power. Therefore, Xiao Han placed his focus on the Eye of the Divine Eagle and the bottle of Supreme Battle Will pills. The Eye of the Divine Eagle was a support-type immortal treasure. It didn't have any offensive or defensive abilities. It could only expand the detection range to about 20 miles. At this moment, the Eye of the Divine Eagle that was wandering in Xiao Han's dantian did not have Immortal Emperor Ju Dao's Divine Will restriction. There was only a trace of Shan Wanzi's soul imprint. Shan Lianzi had already used his power of refinement to remove the seal on the Eye of the God of the Eagle. Hence, if Xiao Han wanted to obtain the Eye of the God of the Eagle, he did not need to waste his power of refinement. All he needed to do was to drip his blood on it to claim ownership. Very good. That saves me a lot of effort. Xiao Han smiled. With a thought, he flipped his right hand and the Eye of the Divine Eagle appeared in his right palm. It was a deep eyeball. Indistinctly, one could see some immortal runes and talismans in the depths of the pupil. Xiao Han's mind power seeped into the eyeball and realized that it was extraordinary. Good. You belong to me. Xiao Han bit his finger and blood dripped onto the eyeball. Poof. Inside the eyeball. There was a crisp cracking sound. Then the eyeball and Xiao Han's divine soul. An inseparable connection was established. It was like a pair of hands and feet. Dripping blood to recognize its owner was a success. Xiao, the Eye of the Divine Eagle turned into a brilliant celestial light and entered Xiao Han's forehead. Very quickly, the restriction on Xiao Han's mind power in this space loosened a little. This caused Xiao Han's mind power to fluctuate more freely. In an instant, it extended to about 20 miles. He felt as though his vision had been broadened and the sky was vast and the sea was vast. Awesome. Xiao Han stood up and the Divine Eagle totem appeared on his forehead. There seemed to be spirals of light rolling in his eyes. He looked around and everything within a 20-mile radius. It appeared clearly in Xiao Han's mind, down to the finest detail. It was as though he was looking at the lines on his palm. There's no danger within a 20-mile radius. Xiao Han smiled. Then Xiao Han sat down again. He carefully observed the wind and grass within a 20-mile radius, while he used his inner vision again. A bottle of Supreme Battle Will elixir was locked onto by Xiao Han. This bottle of elixir was a rare mental energy elixir that could directly strengthen one's soul power. There were a total of 10 Supreme Battle Will elixir. Xiao Han knew that once he consumed these 10 Supreme Battle Will elixir, his soul power would transform once again. It would break through the bottleneck of the extinguishing sky decimating earth spiritual technique and improve further. It would also make the saber intent more condensed and sharper, and its lethality would be greater. Xiao Han did not think too much. Very quickly he gathered the power of refinement in his dantian. With a thought. Boom. This wave of refinement violently attacked the restriction on the surface of the supreme battle will elixir. Pooh. About a third of the restriction was broken. Whew. Xiaohan let out a breath of turbid air in frustration. I still need some refinement power to completely break the restriction and obtain this bottle of elixir that nourishes mental energy. Forget it. After Big Brother He and Yu Langzi have successfully refined the treasure, the three of us will go out and hunt other immortal teams. Now that I've refined the Divine Eagle's Eye, I have more confidence in hunting immortals. It's not that difficult to accumulate refinement power. This way, Xiaohan waited in the valley for He and Yu Langzi to refine the treasure. He had the Divine Eagle's Eye which could detect danger. He was outstanding and protected He and Yu Langzi perfectly. On the third day, Xiao, 2 rays of immortal light shone. Clouds were steaming. We did it. Brother Xiaohan, we did it. He and Yu Langzi exclaimed in joy. In the valley, Xiao, He took out a glass bottle. The bottle was about a meter long. Auspicious light was rising from the mouth of the bottle. It was a mysterious formation. Brother Xiaohan, Brother Yu Langzi, this is the treasure that I refined, He said excitedly. This magical treasure is called the colored glass bottle. It can suck a level 3 true immortal into the bottle. Inside the bottle is the true Samadhi fire formation of the immortal realm. It can turn the enemy that is sucked into the bottle into ashes. Although this treasure isn't too brilliant in the second level of the immortal Emperor Ju Dao's treasure trove, it's more than enough for me to use, and I won't have any problems protecting myself. For example, if I had this glass bottle in the battle with Heng Shanzi and the others, I could have killed them instantly. Heng, look at me. Yu Langzi laughed. Then he waved his right hand. Immortal light shone and a seal flew out from his palm. The seal wasn't big, but it was engraved with many mountains, rivers, birds, and beasts. This is the mountain-suppressing seal. After it's taken out, it can become the size of a huge mountain. It can crush a level 3 true immortal into ashes. It's very powerful in terms of attack power. I, Yu Langzi, didn't expect to have such a powerful treasure when I'm only a level 2 true immortal. This is much more powerful than the life-saving trump card that the sect gave me to use in the lower realm. Good. Xiaohan shouted. Brothers, a glass bottle and a mountain-suppressing seal. That's great. Then the three of us will leave the valley. Now we have to go all out. To be continued, you. Chapter 637. After a few days of rest, Xiaohan, the black-white child, and Yu Yangzi finally absorbed everything they had gained from the battle with Heng Shanzi. Ibdu, Xiaohan had gained control of the Eye of the Divine Eagle, and a third of the restriction on the Supreme Battle Will Pill had been broken. As for the black-white child and Yu Yangzi, they had improved by leaps and bounds. One of them had refined the glass bottle, and the other had refined the mountain-suppressing seal. Then the three of them quietly left the valley, ready to fight for more points, magical treasures and refining power. In the fourth region. On a spacious plain. Boom, 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 boom. Immortal light flashed and crimson light filled the sky, burning the plain into lava. Bubbles popped and popped. On the plain, more than 40 immortals were covered in blood and seriously injured. They struggled to hold on. Nearly 100 immortals surrounded the 40 immortals and attacked them with their strongest attacks. In the end, the 40 or so immortals were like flickering oil lamps. One by one they fell to the ground. Their points, magical treasures and power of refinement all fell out of them. Roar! Son of the stars! You're ruthless. I'll fight you to the death. The leader of the 40 immortals was hysterical. He suddenly took out a scroll. The scroll depicted a bright moon rising from the sea, and a violent pressure spread in all directions. Immortal tool. Heaven see divine painting. Child's play. The son of the stars' arrogant and invincible voice rang out. In the next moment he also took out an immortal tool. Tai Chi painting. A Tai Chi painting rose into the air. The sky darkened. The Tai Chi painting spun. It extinguished everything. Bang. The sea sky godly painting shattered and exploded. The 40 or so immortals were all dead. The battle was over. Hong, a large number of points, magical treasures and refining power surged into the son of the stars' body. At this moment, the son of the stars floated in the air with his hands behind his back. His expression was extremely cold and arrogant, as if he was an invincible monarch. His robes fluttered in the wind. His aura was a mixture of immortal qi, domineering qi, vicious qi, and wild qi. He was truly a dominating figure. He was a figure who ruled over all living beings. At this moment, above the sun of the stars, the floating points had reached 500,000. Ha! Now, I'm afraid I've already taken first place in the fourth region, haven't I? No one could surpass him. No one can compete with me, the son of stars. The son of stars said arrogantly. Big brother son of the stars is matchless and invincible. Big brother son of the stars will definitely take first place in the fourth region. He proudly entered the arena. There's no suspense. Big brother Xing Qinzi will definitely find countless treasures and fortunes in the second, third, and even fourth floors of Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao's treasure trove. Even obtaining the inheritance of Immortal Emperor Zhu Dao's orthodoxy is a sure thing. Master Jialanzi? Master Taotai? They're all going to be trampled underfoot by Big Brother Master Star. Many of the immortals standing next to Master Xing Qinzi began to flatter him. Ha ha ha, the son of stars laughed wildly towards the sky. He was extremely proud of himself. Then, all right, the son of the stars said with a wave of his hand. Let's wait until we've killed all the other immortals in the fourth region. Then, he made a grabbing motion with his right hand, and a few colorful round stones appeared in his palm. These are communication spirit stones, the son of the stars said with a smile. I found them among the countless treasures in my Dantian yesterday and refined them. The communication spirit stone is an assistive immortal tool that allows you to communicate with anyone in the fourth region, the son of the stars said with a smile. Listen up, the son of the stars said with a smile. Including me, our team has exactly 100 people, and there are only 2,000-3,000 immortals left in the fourth region. Now, I'll divide our team into 10 squads, and we'll begin the final sweep of the fourth region. We'll kill all the remaining immortals. The son of the stars began to devise strategies and make arrangements. Some of you have obtained enough refining power and refined some of the magical treasures in your bodies. Therefore, those who have refined magical treasures have outstanding battle prowess and can stand on their own. Apart from me, there are 9 others who have refined the treasures in their bodies. Some of the treasures you've refined can kill third-grade true immortals, and some can even kill fourth-grade true immortals. You can do whatever you want in the fourth region. The 9 who have refined treasures step forward. The son of the stars shouted coldly. Immediately, 9 immortals stepped forward. Of the 9 immortals, 8 were men and 1 was a woman, and all of them had accumulated more than 100,000 points. That was especially true of the female immortal, who had 260,000 points. Other than Master Xing Qinzi, she had the most terrifying points in the entire team. Moreover, there was an immortal light that shone brilliantly like a gem circulating around her body. It was obvious that this female celestial had refined some extraordinary immortal artifact or magic treasure. Moreover, the female immortal was extremely charming. Her eyes were as gentle as water, and her figure was curvaceous. She was a stunningly beautiful woman. The son of the stars glanced at the 9 immortals and ordered in an unquestionable tone, "Each of you will lead 9 immortals and form 9 teams to hunt down immortals." I have great faith in the strength of the 9 of you. I'm sure you'll be able to hold your own. Now I'll send the communication spirit stones to the 9 of you. If you encounter any danger, you can contact me immediately. However, I don't think you'll run into any trouble. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The son of the stars waved his hand, and 9 glittering communication spirit stones flew into the hands of the 9 immortals. After a pause, the son of the stars looked at the charming female immortal. His sharp gaze softened, and a hint of possessiveness could be seen in his eyes. Jiangzi, you'll lead a team as well. The immortal treasures you've refined are enough to kill fourth-grade true immortals. In the fourth region, there's probably nothing left. It's enough to pose a threat to you. Yes, Big Brother Star, Jiangzi understands. The female immortal smiled at the son of the stars. Her eyes were seductive and seductive. She was truly a stunner. Moreover, the female immortal did not forget to remind him affectionately. Be careful, Big Brother Star. Ha 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 ha. The son of the stars laughed confidently. Don't worry about me, Jiangzi. I've refined an invincible treasure called the Taiji diagram and a soul summoning banner. It's a powerful offensive treasure that's on par with the Taiji diagram. With these 2 treasures, I'm the only one who can kill others in the fourth region. There's absolutely no reason for others to kill me, the son of the stars. Yes. The female immortal, Jiangzi, smiled obediently. As for the other immortals, they all looked at Jiangzi with jealousy, but also with some disdain. Jiangzi was not very strong, but her beauty had won the Son of the Stars' attention. Therefore, in the Son of the Stars team, Jiangzi always reaped the rewards without putting in any effort. She had many opportunities to kill other immortals with her own hands. In fact, when the other immortals in the Son of the Stars team severely injured their opponents, they did not have the right to finish them off with their own hands and obtain their opponents' points and power of refinement. Instead, Jiangzi reaped the rewards without putting in any effort and dealt the fatal blow. Many immortals in the Son of the Stars team secretly disliked Jiangzi. Some even loathed her. However, none of them dared to voice their anger. After all, she was the Son of the Stars woman and was doted on by the Son of the Stars. Therefore, no one dared to say anything wrong about her. After making the arrangements, the Son of the Stars waved his hand. Go. 9 teams spread out and hunt in different parts of the 4th region. As a result, the 9 leaders each recruited 9 immortals and formed 9 teams of 10. They held communication spirit stones in their hands and flew off in different directions. Only 9 immortals remained by the Son of the Stars' side. These 9 immortals were the Son of the Stars' trusted subordinates. Big Brother Stars, a red-clad immortal asked, "What's your real purpose in dividing them into 9 teams?" The Son of the Stars murmured, his eyes glinting with a strange light. The 4th region's qualifier has already reached its final stage. The leaders of the 9 teams have refined their treasures and extraordinary combat strength. Let them hunt until they're full and earn a lot of points. The Son of the Stars' pupils shrank, and his killing intent skyrocketed. When they've earned a lot of points, treasures and refinement power, I'll personally attack and severely injure them. Then, the 9 of you will kill them and reap great benefits. Of course, I'll kill the 9 leaders. Jiangzi was an exception. Other than Jiangzi, the remaining 89 people were all killed. We'll be the final winners. We've all earned a lot of points and have over 1,000 treasures in our bodies. We'll definitely be in an advantageous position in the arena. The Son of the Stars laughed heartily. Immortal Emperor Judao means that each region can only have a maximum of 100 people survive. However, only a dozen of us will survive in the 4th region. The rest will all die. All the benefits will be in the hands of the dozen of us. In the end, the Son of the Stars laughed wildly. Big Brother Stars, you're truly wise. Yes, what's the point of sharing the benefits with 100 people? It'd be perfect if there were only a dozen people to share the benefits. Of course, we'd be more than satisfied if you could give us a little. We wouldn't dare to ask for more. The 9 immortals behind the Son of the Stars said timidly. It doesn't matter. You'll soon gain the power of refinement and control the powerful immortal treasures in your bodies. The 9 of you are connected to me back in the immortal world. Who else should I take care of if not you? Don't worry. Follow me and you'll definitely benefit greatly from Immortal Emperor Judao's treasure. The Son of the Stars said with the demeanor of a leader. Then he said, "All right, let's go hunt and kill all the other immortals in the 4th region as soon as possible." To be continued. Chapter 638. Xiao Han, Yu Yangzi and He Heizi had already arrived at a mountain range. The 3 of them hid on the tallest mountain in the mountain range. They looked toward the eastern horizon. Xiao Han sat cross-legged. The divine eagle's eye between his brows emitted a deep, misty divine light that pierced through nothingness and observed down to the smallest detail. Xiao Han had perfect control over the situation within a 10-mile radius. Xiao Han observed while conversing with Fish Stem and Black and White. "Brothers, this mountain range is located in the center of the 4th region. We'll observe from here. I'll spread out my psyche with this place as the center. Once we find any immortal teams, we'll plan how to hunt them down." "All right, Brother Xiao Han. We'll do as you say." Fish Stem and Black and White listened to Xiao Han's every word. They would not go against his will. Xiao Han nodded slightly. The 3 of them waited for a few hours on the mountain range, but did not find any immortal teams within a 10-mile radius of the mountain range. Xiao Han even flew out and strolled around the mountain range, expanding the scope of his investigation, but to no avail. Xiao Han shook his head helplessly. "Big brothers, it looks like there are very few immortals left in the 4th region. Otherwise, it's impossible that we haven't seen a single immortal even after waiting for so long in the throat of the 4th region." "That's right." Black and White nodded. It's been more than 10 days since we entered the 4th region. Immortals perished every day. From nearly 40,000 immortals. By now, I'm afraid there won't even be 4,000 left. How tragic. Such intense competition must have caused the surviving immortals to be very cautious. They wouldn't easily expose their whereabouts, said Fish Rib. Pausing for a moment, the fish seedling's eyes lit up. A flash of hatred flashed across his eyes. I wonder how many points Master Xing Qinzi has accumulated by now. He's the leader of the most powerful team in the 4th district, and he slaughters everyone in his path. Yeah. Brother Su Huizi died at his hands. Yeah. Brother Fish Stem, don't worry, Xiaohan consoled. There are more than 10 days until the 4th region's preliminaries end. Who will have the last laugh? That's not certain. When we entered the 2nd level of the Ju Dao Immortal Emperor's treasure, I already had a grudge with Xing Qinzi. I've already formed a grudge with Master of Stars, so there's no way Master of Stars will let me off the hook just because we're in the same region. Furthermore, I'll definitely avenge Big Brother Su Huizi. It can be said that my relationship with Master Xing Qinzi is irreconcilable. As he spoke, Xiaohan's psyche swept over. A team of immortals has been discovered. Xiaohan's expression suddenly tensed up. There's a team of immortals about 20 li to our left. Black and white team of immortals. Black and white were in black and white. But, let's wait. Xiaohan's expression was grave. This team is made up of more than 30 immortals, and the leader has more than 100,000 points hovering above his head. It's clear that he's controlling an immortal weapon. Yes, brothers, let's not act rashly. I'll use my psychic waves to observe this team of immortals. We'll make our move when we're sure and wait for the best opportunity to strike. The 8th region. The 2nd level of the Ju Dao Immortal Emperor's treasure trove, the 8th region. The 8th region was different from the 4th region where Xiaohan was. The 8th region was made up of mortals. At this moment, a total of 100 mortals were standing on a giant peak in the middle of the 8th region. Each of these 100 mortals had thousands of points hovering above their heads. Some even had tens of thousands of points. Moreover, each of these 100 mortals had faint immortal light around them. They had obviously refined some kind of immortal artifact. At this moment, among these 100 mortals, the Pure Rain sect master Wu Lu, his eldest disciple Xiao Mingqiu, Fang Ling, Dongfang Qin, and some other elites from Xiaohan's dimension were there. Wu Lu, Xiao Mingqiu, and the others' temperament had changed. Compared to when they first entered the 2nd level of the Ju Dao Immortal Emperor's treasure trove, Wu Lu and the others' temperament was much more outstanding. Moreover, their true qi cultivation was more condensed, as if their true qi was about to evolve into immortal qi. It seemed that in the battles and competitions in the 8th region, Wu Lu, Xiao Mingqiu, and the others had benefited a lot and made great progress. Mingqiu, we finally ended the 8th region qualifier. Tens of thousands of mortals fought and killed each other. In the end, only the 10 of us were left. It felt like a lifetime had passed. Sect Master, this experience has transformed our souls. Not only have we obtained some immortal artifacts, but we have also made great progress, Xiao Mingqiu said with a smile. I believe that in less than 10 years, we may all usher in the immortal tribulation. Once we pass it, we can ascend and become immortals. Wu Lu also nodded with great certainty. Immediately, his expression changed slightly and he blurted out. I wonder how Xiaohan is now. At the mention of Xiaohan, Xiao Mingqiu, Fang Ling, Dongfang Qin, and some of the mortals from Xiaohan's dimension gathered together with a face full of concern. Ha ha ha. At this moment, an elder from the Monster Hero Tower from Xiaohan's dimension laughed loudly. Everyone, why do we need to worry about Leader Xiaohan? Think about it, Leader Xiaohan is immortal after all. He must be in the same region as the other mortals. Hey, in this world there are countless mortal planes. Any mortal who meets Leader Xiaohan will be instantly killed. Therefore, Leader Xiaohan must have already distinguished himself from the preliminaries and entered the arena competition. Hearing this, Wu Lu and the others nodded. It seems that junior brother Xiaohan doesn't need to be like us. He can break through the encirclement with his own ability. Dongfang Qin laughed involuntarily. One should know that the reason why Wu Lu and the others could fight their way out of the 8th region was because of their own strength and talent. On one hand, it was because of their own strength and talent. Among the mortals, they were not ordinary. On the other hand, a large group of mortals from Xiaohan's dimension had been teleported to the 8th region, so everyone could quickly form a team. On the other hand, the mortals in this region all knew that Wu Lu and the others were from Xiaohan's dimension. Therefore, some of the real mortal experts in this region seemed to be trying to please Xiao Han. Therefore, they took the initiative to form a team with Wu Lu and the others. We should be able to meet Xiao Han in a while. Feng Ling smiled. At this moment, a trace of immortal Emperor Zhu Dao's divine sense resounded in the 8th region. O mortals of the 8th region, you have finally completed the qualifier and produced 100 precious places to enter the arena. Ah, how about it? Tens of thousands of people are fighting each other. In the end, only 100 people are left. Not bad at all. Although this qualifier is extremely cruel, but the 100 of you who survive will definitely benefit a lot. It is very likely that all of you have refined some treasures, right? Moreover, if I'm not wrong, all of you are only one step away from immortal ascension, right? Ah. Alright, I'll teleport all of you out now. Next, each of the 10 regions will have 100 places. There will be a total of 1,000 people who will participate in the arena. You 100 mortals should think about it carefully and see if you want to participate in the arena. As soon as he finished his words, a giant teleportation formation directly enveloped the 8th region. Time flies. Wu Lu and the other 100 mortals were teleported out. Outside. At this moment, Wu Lu and the others found themselves teleported to a platform. There were a total of 10 platforms floating in the void. Below the platforms was a misty fog that seemed to be an endless abyss. Looking into it, it made one's heart palpitate. At this moment, of these 10 platforms, 7 were already filled with people, be they mortals or immortals. On each platform there were exactly 100 people, no more, no less. Above everyone's head floated a large number of points. Above the heads of mortals, there were usually tens of thousands of points. Above the heads of immortals, there were at most hundreds of thousands, and at least 100,000. Moreover, regardless of whether they were mortals or immortals, there was an immortal artifact's light circulating around their bodies. Boom! The 8th platform shook and the misty light intertwined. In the next moment, 100 immortals had already appeared on the 8th platform. Among the 100 immortals, the one with the most ancient temperament was none other than Jiao Lanzi. At this moment, Jiao Lanzi's entire body was brimming with immortal qi. His entire aura was even more noble than before he entered the 2nd level of the Zhu Dao Immortal Emperor's treasure trove. Moreover, there were traces of extremely powerful immortal artifact fluctuations flowing around his body. Clearly, he had refined one or even several extremely terrifying immortal artifacts. Above Jiao Lanzi's head floated a total of 640,000 points. The immortals standing by Jiao Lanzi's side were all extremely respectful and submissive to him. At this moment, Jiao Lanzi was teleported out and arrived on the platform. Then his gaze swept around. When he saw Wu Lu and the others, his expression changed slightly, and he immediately sent a voice transmission. Sect Leader Wu, you guys also passed the preliminaries? Congratulations. It turned out that the 10 platforms represented the 10 regions of the preliminaries. After the competition in each region ended and 100 people were born, these 100 people would be teleported out and stand on the platforms. At this moment, there were a total of 8 platforms with 100 people standing on them. This meant that out of the 10 regions of the preliminaries, a total of 8 regions had already given birth to people who could enter the arena. When Wu Lu received Jiao Lanzi's soul transmission, he immediately swept his gaze over and exclaimed in surprise. Brother Jiao Lanzi, TSK, your temperament has undergone a transformation. I can feel that the immortal aura emanating from your body has become purer and purer. It seems that there are immortal talismans revolving around your body at all times. Brother Jiao Lanzi, we only fought our way out of the mortal region, but you are competing with immortals. The difficulty we face is incomparable. Ha! Likewise, it took me a lot of effort to enter the final arena, Jiao Lanzi said with a laugh. Then Jiao Lanzi asked directly, right, where is Brother Xiao? Sect Leader Wu, is Brother Xiao not in the same region as you? Xiao Han is not in the same region as us, Wu Lu answered immediately. Then he quickly observed the people on the 8 platforms trying to find Xiao Han. Jiao Lanzi also immediately began to observe. However, neither Wu Lu nor Jiao Lanzi could find Xiao Han on any of the platforms. Brother Xiao seems to have not fought his way out of the preliminaries, Jiao Lanzi said immediately. However, at this moment Xiao Mingchu cried out in alarm. Sect Leader. Something's not right. Huh? Wu Lu seemed to have noticed something. Sect Leader, the 10 platforms belong to 10 regions. Mortals are in one region and immortals are in another. The number of mortals and immortals who entered the second level of the Judao Immortal Emperor's treasure is roughly the same. In other words, mortals occupy 5 of the 10 regions, and immortals occupy the other 5 regions. And now, of the 8 regions and 8 platforms that have been decided, 5 of the platforms are filled with mortals. Only 3 platforms are occupied by immortals, and the remaining 2 platforms have yet to be decided. However, these 2 platforms should belong to immortals. At this moment, junior brother Xiaohan has not appeared on the 8 platforms that have been decided. In other words, junior brother Xiaohan. On the other side, Jialanzi also saw the clues and said in a hoarse voice, "Could it be that brother Xiao and the immortals are in the same region? Brother Xiao did not enter the mortal region?" To be continued, you. Chapter 639. In an instant, Wu Bai, Xiao Mingqiu and the others as well as Jialanzi were all shocked. Xiaohan didn't appear on one of the 8 platforms, so there were only 2 possibilities. 1. Xiaohan died in one of the 8 regions and didn't get the final victory and enter the arena. 2. Xiaohan was placed in the remaining 2 regions that originally belonged to immortals. For the time being, these 2 regions had yet to be decided. All of a sudden Wu Hao and Jialanzi became nervous. With brother Zhao's strength, it is impossible for anything to happen to him if he is placed in the ordinary area. It must be. Jialanzi looked at the 2 empty platforms and transmitted his voice to Wu Yu. "I think brother Xiao is in the same area as the immortals, competing for the 100 spots to enter the arena." After he finished speaking, Jialanzi himself was shocked. Brother Xiao is just a mortal, but he actually wants to compete with immortals. In other words, brother Xiao is going to fight with tens of thousands of immortals. The scene of Xiaohan fighting with tens of thousands of immortals appeared in the minds of Wu Yi, Xiao Mingqiu and the others. Their scalps went numb and they were too stunned to speak. At the same time, Xiaohan's 5 alien slaves as well as Yen Lang were standing on a platform reserved for mortals. They had also emerged victorious in the preliminaries and obtained a spot in the top 100. At this moment they had also discovered Xiaohan's subtlety. Yen Lang also transmitted his voice to Wu Yu and Jialanzi. "Immortal Jialanzi, Sect Master Wu, don't worry. My master will definitely overcome everything. Moreover, I can be sure of one thing. My master is not dead, he is still alive." Oh. Crow understood the relationship between Xiaohan and Yen Lang. This master-servant relationship was related to their souls. No matter what plane Xiaohan was in or what spacetime it was Xiaohan's life or death was, he could always be sensed by his servants. Hearing Yen Lang's words, Wu Li and Jialanzi heaved a sigh of relief and turned their gazes to the 2 empty platforms. The 4th zone. At this moment, in the middle of the mountain range in the 4th district, Xiaohan, Heizi, and Yu Yangzi all stood up. His expression was also extremely grave and stern. At the center of Xiaohan's brows, the eye of the divine eagle emitted a piercing light. This allowed Xiaohan to clearly see everything within a 20-kilometer radius. A team of immortals had appeared within Xiaohan's detection range. However, Xiaohan wasn't reckless. He wasn't in a rush to kill them. After all, the team was made up of over 30 immortals. It was a rather large number. Moreover, the leader of the team had clearly refined an immortal artifact. His strength was not to be underestimated. Big Brother Fish Rib, Big Brother Black and White, although we are eager to hunt, we have to consider everything before we act in case we fail miserably. Xiaohan said cautiously. Yes. Fish Cripple and Black and White nodded at the same time. Xiaohan pondered for a few breaths before replying. Of course. We've been waiting for half a day now and finally, a team of immortals has shown up. There's no way we're going to let this opportunity slip by. Big brothers, let's sneak up on them and ambush them together. The 2 brothers took out their magic treasures and directly attacked the leader of the team. His underlings were also assisting from the side. As long as we kill the leader who refined an immortal artifact, the rest of the immortals will be easy to deal with. Alright. What a brilliant plan. Capture the leader. Black and White cheered loudly. After the discussion, Xiaohan, Black and White, and Fish Rib left the mountain range and flew in the direction of the team of immortals. Step by step they slowly approached the team of immortals. 20 li, 15 li, 12 li. However, just as Xiaohan's group was 8 li away from the team of immortals, something strange happened. Xiaohan's psyche suddenly trembled. Boom! Another team of immortals had appeared within Xiaohan's detection range. This team of immortals only had 10 people, but all of them had domineering expressions and an extremely arrogant aura. They were facing off against the team of over 30 immortals. The atmosphere on the other side suddenly became tense and intense. Wait. Xiao Han immediately waved his hand and stopped in his tracks. Black and White and Fish Rib were stunned. Brother Xiao Han, what's going on? Something strange has happened. Xiao Han's psyche locked onto the situation. Another team of immortals has appeared. There are 10 of them, but they're extremely arrogant. Xiao Han couldn't help but lick his lips. Ah. Two big brothers, today our chance has come. The sudden appearance of another team of immortals didn't scare Xiao Han. Instead, it excited him. Big brothers were going to get a lot more points, magic treasures, and refining power. Ah. Moreover, we can be fishermen who reap the benefits of others in peace. Xiao Han laughed. Brother Xiao Han, you mean to wait for the two teams of immortals to kill each other? It'd be best if they turn the world upside down and become a bloody mess. Then we can... Hee hee. Fish Rib couldn't help but laugh. Exactly. Ah. Brothers, let's get closer slowly. Xiao Han slowed down and gradually approached the two teams of immortals. At the same time, Xiao Han kept an eye on the situation over there. Haha, everyone, let's stop here, haha. At this moment, the leader of the team of 10, a peerlessly enchanting and extraordinarily beautiful woman, let out a lovely laughter that was like the sound of a silver bell. Her appearance was mesmerizing. There were 260,000 points hovering above her head, and her entire body shone with the aura of a peerless celestial weapon. The 9 immortals under her command were fearless. In fact, a hint of greed could be seen in their eyes. The leader of the team of 10 was none other than the female celestial Jianghu. She was Xing Qinzi's lover. The leader of the team of more than 30 immortals, a round-faced, dark-skinned male celestial, stepped forward. There were more than 100,000 points hovering above his head, and he emitted the aura of someone who had refined a celestial weapon. However, the aura of his celestial weapon was far inferior to Jianghu's. In other words, the quality of the celestial weapon that the round-faced celestial had refined was definitely inferior to Jianghu. Therefore, although the round-faced celestial had an advantage in terms of numbers, he was still wary. He said with an ingratiating smile. Everyone, the 4th area will produce a total of 100 people who will enter the arena. Therefore, we don't have to fight to the death. Since we've met, why don't we call it quits? Let's give each other some leeway so that we can meet again in the future. Ha ha ha. The immortals behind Jianghu laughed mockingly when they heard this. Hee hee, how childish. Crimson Purple's lips parted slightly, and then she murmured. There are more than 30 immortals, and the leader has more than 100,000 points. This is my opportunity. As long as I get rid of all of you, I should be able to rank among the top in terms of points. Moreover, the number of celestial weapons I'll obtain is uncountable. Don't be so overbearing. The round-faced celestial was enraged when he heard Jianghu's words. You vicious woman, you're too bloodthirsty. Yes, you must have refined a high-grade celestial weapon. However, there are only 10 of you and we have several times more people than you. If we really fight, it'll be a lose-lose situation. Do you think you'll have an advantage? I'm giving you face, but you don't want it. Ha ha ha. Jianghu laughed sheepishly. A bunch of idiots. She said in a seemingly gentle voice as she flipped her right hand, and a communication spirit stone appeared in her palm. I'll let you die in peace. We're Big Brother Xing Qinzi's people. Ah. We'll control all the spots in the 4th area. The other immortals will all die. What? The son of Xing Qinzi's team. The round-faced immortal's expression changed drastically. His heart was filled with fear. The son of Xing Qinzi's team? On the other side, Xiao Han clearly heard the conversation between Jianghu and the round-faced immortal. At this moment, Xiao Han, Black White, and Yu Yangzi were less than 4 li away from Jianghu and the other immortals. Big brother Yu Yangzi, big brother Black White, let's stop here. If we get any closer, they'll discover us. At this distance, they won't be able to detect our presence and whereabouts no matter what. Ha, I didn't expect you to be the son of Xing Qinzi's men. Then, kill? Xiao Han's killing intent exploded out of him. Let's get back some interest for big brother Su Huizi first. The son of Xing Qinzi's team? Black White and Yu Yangzi were infuriated. They're about to fight. When they're excited, we'll make a sudden move. Big brothers, use your immortal artifacts to deal with the other immortals. As for the female immortal and the leader of the son of Xing Qinzi's team, I'll kill them myself. Xiao Han said coldly. The round-faced immortal was caught between a rock and a hard place. He knew how powerful the sons of the stars were. Now that a battle was unavoidable, the round-faced immortal ordered the immortals under his command through spiritual voice transmission. Attack! Kill all of these people. Leave none alive. At the same time, Jianghu ordered her subordinates to attack. Moreover, she had activated the communication spirit stone so that the son of Xingqianzi could know her current situation. That way, if Jianghu was injured and forced to flee, the son of Xingqianzi would be able to know her situation and rescue her as soon as possible. Jianghu was a meticulous person. Her plans were flawless. Hundreds of li away, the son of Xingqianzi led 9 immortals in a sweep of the area. Suddenly, he flipped his right hand, and the communication spirit stone in his palm flashed and transmitted some information. Jianghu encountered a team of immortals, and she's about to fight them? The son of Xingqianzi smiled. To be continued. Ew. Chapter 640. As expected, Xingqianzi immediately learned of Jianghu's situation. Xingqianzi didn't look worried at all. On the contrary, he was extremely confident and smiled. Jianghu will obtain a large amount of accumulated points to refine her Dharma treasure. There's no doubt about it, brother Xingqianzi, aren't you worried about Jianghu? The immortal team she encountered was several times larger than her team. The immortal behind him said. It's fine. The immortal weapon Jianghu refined is extremely extraordinary. Even if ordinary immortals also refined immortal weapons, they won't be able to stop Jianghu. Xingqianzi said confidently. Finally, the team led by Jianghu and the team formed by more than 30 immortals engaged in a direct battle. First was the round-faced immortal. He made a grasping motion with his right hand, causing a palm leaf fan to appear in his hand. The fan was surrounded by immortal fire, and emanated immortal light. Numerous immortal characters and magical symbols swirled around the fan, causing the entire area to heat up. The air distorted and evaporated, causing mountain toppling, sea-draining heat. Immortal fire demon incinerating fan. This celestial artifact was refined by the round-faced celestial from hundreds of celestial artifacts in his dantian after he had obtained enough refining power. Its offensive power was so strong that it could even burn a level 3 true immortal into ashes with a wave of its hand. Puff, 2 of the 9 immortals under Jianghu's command were unable to dodge in time. Their bodies were set ablaze, and they let out heart-wrenching screams of agony. At the same time, the 30 immortals under the round-faced immortal unleashed their most powerful immortal killing moves. They attacked without any regard for their lives. Child's play. Jianghu's expression froze. She quickly ignited an immortal talisman. Once the talisman was ignited, it quickly turned into ripples of light that spread out with Jianghu at the center, protecting her and her 7 immortals. This immortal talisman was a gift from Xingqianzi. Once it was burned, it could withstand an attack from a level 4 true immortal. It could also protect her companions. This immortal talisman was an excellent life-saving trump card. Back then, in order to obtain this celestial talisman, Jianghu had been molested by Xingqianzi several times in one night. She had done everything she could to please Xingqianzi. It could be said that she had paid a hefty price. Die. *TC. Die for me. Die all of you. You damn things. Do you think you can kill us just because you're a son of the stars? Die. In order to survive. Even if Xingqianzi comes here in person, I'll fight to the death. The round-faced celestial's eyes were bloodshot, and he waved the fan in his hand again. Who? A flaming hurricane swept out. Pucci. Jianghu and the other 7 immortals were enveloped by a hurricane that was filled with mysterious immortal runes. Bang! The light emitted by the life-saving immortal talisman suddenly burst into pieces. However, Jianghu and the others were unharmed. Fortunately, I managed to obtain such a life-saving trump card from Big Brother Xingqianzi. Otherwise, I would not have given my body to Big Brother Xingqianzi in vain. Jianghu secretly broke out in cold sweat. At the same time, the immortals around Jianghu began to shout. Immortal Jianghu, quickly activate your immortal artifact and counterattack. Just as the round-faced immortal completed his attack with his immortal artifact, Jianghu immediately took out her own immortal artifact. Pfft. A ray of immortal light rose from Jianghu's brow. It spread out like a peacock spreading its tail and turned into a pipa. An intense pressure covered the sky and earth and rolled towards them. The round-faced immortal was forced to retreat. Oh no! Everyone scatter. Run for your lives. This B*TCH's immortal artifact is very terrifying. It's not something we can defend against. Hurry! The round-faced immortal shouted in terror. The 30 or so immortals behind him immediately activated their movement techniques to escape. At that moment, the pipa emitted a crisp sound and a circle of sound waves spread out like ripples. Spaceship. Bang, 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 bang. At least a dozen immortals under the round-faced immortal's command had their immortal bodies destroyed by the sound waves. Shio shio shio, in an instant countless rays of light shot into Jianghu's body. She had killed more than a dozen immortals and gained a lot of points in an instant. She had also obtained a large number of Dharma treasures and refining power. Haha, I'll send all of you to hell. Jianghu was overjoyed. With a thought, the pipa emitted another sound wave attack. The terrifying sound wave attack engulfed the round-faced immortal and his remaining subordinates. Soul-splitting pipa. B*TC. I'll kill you. The round-faced immortal was hysterical. He waved his palm leaf fan repeatedly, and waves of flaming hurricanes swept towards Jianghu. However, the pipa above Jianghu's head continued to pluck and play, and the sound waves that could kill even gods spread out. The flaming hurricanes created by the round-faced immortal were destroyed by the terrifying sound waves. They could not harm Jianghu at all. This was a battle between immortal artifacts. It was obvious that the immortal artifact that Jianghu had refined was superior in quality to the round-faced immortal's immortal artifact. However, this was not surprising. Jianghu had 260,000 points previously, which meant that she had obtained a lot of refining power, and the grade of the Dharma treasures she refined was also high. At the same time, Xiao Han observed the battle between Jianghu and the round-faced immortal without missing a single detail. Xiao Han nodded slightly. The black-white master and the fish rib immediately asked, "Brother Xiao Han, how's the battle going? When do we make our move?" That female immortal is indeed powerful. She has a Dharma treasure with boundless power, Xiao Han said quickly. She actually destroyed that team of more than 30 immortals all by herself. The immortal weapon in the hands of the leader of that team was destroyed. Tiske. The leader of that team will die at the hands of that female immortal in no time. Xiao Han paused for a moment, then said harshly, "Brothers, get ready to attack." The female immortal has 7 immortals watching from the sidelines. None of them have any Dharma treasures, so it should be easy to deal with them. After the female immortal kills the round-faced immortal, she'll instantly obtain a huge amount of points. At that time, she'll definitely be extremely pleased with herself, and her defenses will be extremely lax. Moreover, her immortal sense won't detect us spying on her at all. At that time, I'll kill the female immortal. That'll be the best time. That immortal artifact of hers is too powerful. I don't want to fight her head-on, so I can only launch a sneak attack and kill her when she's caught off guard. All right. Brother Xiao Han, you'll be in charge of killing that female immortal. We'll use our immortal artifacts to kill the immortals under her. The black-white master and the fish rib answered. As soon as they finished speaking, the 3 of them adjusted themselves and prepared to pounce. Finally, after the immortal artifact was destroyed, the round-faced immortal no longer had anything to rely on to defend against Jianghu. Clang. The immortal chi of the pipa that hovered above Jianghu's head released an extremely melodious melody. The sound wave swept across. The ripple-like sound wave swept across the round-faced immortal's body. The round-faced immortal's body exploded. The immortal's body shattered. At the same time, magnificent rays of light shot into Crimson Purple's body. More than 100,000 points were added to Jianghu's body. Along with it came a dense array of immortal artifacts and a considerable amount of refinement power. Ha ha ha. Jianghu let out an almost maniacal laughter. She turned her right hand and shouted into the communication spirit stone. "Big brother Star Child. I did it. I've successfully killed a team of immortals and gained endless benefits. Ha ha ha, the leader of that team was killed by me. I didn't let you down. I didn't let you down. Moreover, I'm extremely grateful to you. I can't wait to throw myself into your arms so that you can love and cherish me." Crimson Z's voice gradually became softer and softer as she transmitted the message. She seemed to be acting coquettishly and seducing at the same time. She seemed to be seducing him to the core. Ha ha ha, the Son of Stars immediately said after receiving Crimson Z's transmission. Ha ha ha. Jiangzi, come back to me now. Ah, I'm in the mood too. I want to pamper you a few times now. Ah, come back. The star child's breathing grew heavier. To be continued? Chapter 641. Jiangzi was indeed a rare beauty in the world. Her flirtatious words had bewitched an immortal like Xing Qinzi to the point that he wanted to have sex with her immediately. He. Although they were separated by a few hundred miles, Jiangzi's current seductiveness was on full display. She bit her lips and spoke in a gentle voice. Ha. All right, big brother Xing Qinzi, wait for me. I'll return to your side and let you. The immortals behind Jiangzi looked at each other speechlessly. However, at this moment, boom, the atmosphere in this area suddenly changed drastically. 3 ferocious and violent murderous auras came from afar and attacked in an instant. Before Jiangzi and the immortals under her command could react, their vision blurred and 3 figures flashed before them. Xiaohan, Black and White Child, and Yu Yangzi were charging towards them. This time it was completely unexpected. When Jiangzi and the other immortals were annihilating the team of immortals, they had actually released their immortal senses to closely observe the situation around them. After all, although they were powerful in the 4th region, they did not rule out the possibility of other teams of immortals hiding in the dark and launching sneak attacks. However, the immortal senses of Jiangzi and the other immortals could not cover a large area. Jiangzi and her subordinates only noticed them when Xiaohan and the other 2 approached. Who? Jiangzi was shocked and instinctively screamed. Over at Xing Qinzi's side. Xing Qinzi was already prepared to fight a few hundred rounds with the returning Jiangzi. Even the 9 immortals around Xing Qinzi knew what was good for them and were prepared to leave. However, at this moment, the communication spirit stone in Xing Qinzi's hand transmitted a violent and chaotic fluctuation of immortal qi. Waves of battle intent and murderous intent surged. It penetrated through. What? Xing Qinzi was shocked and furious. Who? Jiangzi, are you being ambushed? At the same time, Jiangzi's terrified scream came from the communication spirit stone in Xing Qinzi's hand. Who? Xiaohan activated the boots of divine speed. He seemed to ignore the space of a few miles and instantly appeared in front of Jiangzi, throwing out a punch. The power of the immortal body. Condensed to the limit, 40 immortal dragon power gathered on Xiaohan's fist. This punch had just blasted out when the air in all directions was sucked dry, forming a large vacuum zone. A terrifying and bone-chilling aura instantly enveloped crimson purple. Jiangzi could even feel the scent of death. In the blink of an eye, Jiangzi instinctively resisted. The Pipa immortal artifact floating above her head suddenly trembled and was about to burst forth with an invisible sound wave that could kill people. However, Xiaohan's speed was as fast as a ghost. The moment the immortal artifact of the lute was about to send out a sound wave to protect its owner, Xiaohan's fist had already landed on Scarlet Z's body. Xiaohan's attack speed was slightly faster than Crimson Z's immortal artifact. However, such a high-quality immortal artifact was not to be trifled with. Although the Pipa immortal artifact could not send out a sound wave before Xiaohan's fist landed on Crimson Z's body, in an instant, the Pipa that was originally floating above Crimson Z's head disappeared and shot out from her dantian to block Xiaohan's fist. Bang! Xiaohan's fist landed directly on the Pipa. 40 immortal dragon power. A portion of the power passed through the Pipa and landed on Crimson Z's body. Ka. The Pipa immortal artifact was also very hard. Xiaohan's fiend-godlike punch landed on the Pipa immortal artifact, but it didn't shatter. Instead, tiny cracks appeared on it. Crimson Z spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. Although the punch did not directly land on Crimson Z, a portion of the power still passed through the Pipa and entered her body, destroying her internal organs and vitality. Crimson Z was heavily injured, her immortal chi dissipating as she spat out a mouthful of immortal blood. Losing control of her mind, the Pipa immortal artifact fell to the ground. She could no longer control it. Crimson Z fell 100 meters away. Xiaohan moved and chased after her. No. Don't kill me. As she retreated, Crimson Z's right hand clutched tightly onto the communication spirit stone. That was her last hope. Crimson Z spat out another mouthful of immortal blood. Her face was pale and she could no longer gather immortal qi. She struggled to stand and looked at Xiaohan. It's you. Xiaohan. The mortal Xiaohan. The evil creature who once disobeyed Big Brother Xingqinzi. Why did you come to the fourth region? At the same time, boom, boom, boom. Immortal light scattered everywhere. The Black-White Child and Yu Yangzi each took out their own immortal artifacts and killed the remaining 7 immortals under Crimson Z in an instant. Yu Yangzi and the Black-White Child's success was swift with their sneak attack and immortal artifact attack. Crimson Z watched as the immortals she led were slaughtered by Xiaohan and the others. She felt incredulous. In the fourth region, it had always been Xingqinzi's team that swept through the other immortals. Other immortals rarely launched sneak attacks and assassinations. Whoosh, whoosh, the Black-White Child and Yu Yangzi flew over from the left and right and stood beside Xiaohan. Brother Xiaohan, they're all taken care of. Only this woman is left. Xiaohan took a deep breath and walked towards Crimson Z step by step. Xiaohan saw the Spirit Stone in Crimson Z's right hand and guessed that it was an immortal artifact communication Spirit Stone. Heck, the Spirit Stone in your hand should be able to communicate with Xingqinzi, right? Xiaohan smiled confidently. Xiaohan knew that Xingqinzi already knew of his current identity and whereabouts. However, Xiaohan wasn't afraid. Instead, he didn't kill Jiangzi for the time being. He purposely gave Jiangzi time to seek help from Xingqinzi. Xiaohan knew that Crimson Z was as beautiful as a fairy and was Xingqinzi's favorite. Now that this beauty's life was at stake, Xingqinzi would probably go crazy. Xingqinzi had killed Xiaohan's friend, Su Huizi. Xiaohan had thought of all ways to take revenge on Xingqinzi. Now that he had tortured Crimson Z to death in front of Xingqinzi, Xingqinzi's 3 corpses would definitely explode in anger and vomit blood. This was Xiaohan's official declaration of war against Xingqinzi. Of course, Xiaohan had also expanded the Eye of the Divine Eagle to its maximum range. Once he discovered Xingqinzi's men approaching, Xiaohan would immediately retreat with the Black and White Sages. At this moment, Crimson Z's expression surprisingly stabilized. She continuously coughed up blood and glared at Xiaohan with a slightly ferocious expression. Xiaohan, listen to me. I am Big Brother Xingqinzi's woman. If you dare to touch me, you will die a horrible death. At this moment, Xingqinzi had already heard the conversation between Xiaohan and Crimson Z through the communication Spirit Stone. Roar. Xiaohan. It's that mortal Xiaohan. He's hiding in the 4th division. He's mingling with us immortals. He launched a sneak attack on Crimson Z. Damn it. I'm going to exterminate him. Xingqinzi's expression was extremely distorted. In his rage, the immortal qi around his body surged violently. It was as if the surrounding space was about to be destroyed. Crimson Z, where are you? Tell me where you are. Although the communication Spirit Stone could be used for communication, it could not let Xingqinzi know Crimson Z's exact location. After all, the 4th Division's immortal sense could only cover a few miles. Now that Crimson Z and Xingqinzi were at least a few hundred miles apart, Xingqinzi had no way of knowing Crimson Z's location. As for Crimson Z, she was suppressed by Xiaohan's aura and could not communicate with Xingqinzi through the communication Spirit Stone. Oh, you are Xingqinzi's woman? Interesting. Xiaohan smiled faintly. Xiaohan, don't make a mistake. Crimson Z shrieked. Now, Big Brother Xingqinzi is like the sun at noon in the 4th Division. If you kill me, Big Brother Xingqinzi will definitely capture you and kill you. Moreover, when you reach the outside world, Big Brother Xingqinzi will destroy your plane and kill all your friends and family. The more Crimson Z spoke, the louder her voice became. Xiaohan shook his head and laughed, but he still did not attack immediately. The more Xiaohan did not attack, the more pleased Crimson Z became. Alright, Xiaohan, I see that you have obtained quite a lot of points. You are immortal, but you are able to compete with immortals and are not at a disadvantage. This shows that you are also a talent. How about this, the 3 of you join me? My team has lost 9 immortals anyway and I need more people. After you join me, you will definitely be able to stand out in the 4th Division. Moreover, Xiaohan, I know that there is some animosity between you and Big Brother Xingqinzi. But don't worry, as long as you join me, I will plead on your behalf. Ha 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 ha. Before Crimson Z could finish, Xiaohan threw his head back and laughed, interrupting her incessant chatter. Shut up. Alright, your points are not bad and you have countless Dharma treasures in your body. After killing you, I will probably be able to obtain enough power to refine them. Hee hee. How dare you? Xiaohan. How dare you kill me? Big brother Xing Qinzi will definitely not let you off. Crimson Z's voice was fierce. The next moment, bang! Xiaohan did not waste any more words. He did not have any protective feelings for the fairer sex. With a violent punch, he shattered Crimson Z's delicate body. Xiaohan. You killed this Seats woman. I will definitely kill you. I'm going to torture and kill you and everyone related to you. Even Zhao Lanzi can't protect you. Xiaohan. I will not rest until you die. Xing Qinzi let out a heart-wrenching roar. Chapter 642. Xiaohan did not have any protective feelings for the fairer sex. Even a peerless beauty like Jianghu was destroyed by Xiaohan with a single punch. The communication spirit stone in Crimson Z's hand fell into the air, and the Son of the Stars' hysterical roar could be heard from it. Xiaohan grabbed the communication spirit stone and transmitted his voice. Son of Stars, the game between you and I has just begun. You probably think that you have already secured the 100 spots in the 4th region. But, wait and see. After saying this, Xiaohan exerted his strength and crushed the communication spirit stone. Boom! Following this, Xiaohan took out his storage ring and collected the pieces of the immortal corpses floating in the air, saving them for future use. Brother Xiaohan, let's leave now. Black White and Yu Yangzi came up to him. Let's go. Xiaohan did not hesitate. He used his movement technique and left with Black White and Yu Yangzi. The three of them flew in the air. Xiaohan's mind rippled and he activated the Eye of the Divine Eagle. At this moment, the points above Xiaohan's head had skyrocketed to a shocking level. Jiangzi had single-handedly destroyed a team of 30 people. The team leader had more than 100,000 points, and all of them were taken by Jiangzi. In addition, Jiangzi already had more than 200,000 points. In an instant, Jiangzi's points were approaching the 600,000 mark. Now, it was only natural that Xiaohan killed Jiangzi. Everything that belonged to Crimson Z was taken away. It was equivalent to Jiangzi fighting to her death. But it was all for Xiaohan. In addition to his original points, the points floating above Xiaohan's head had exceeded 600,000, approaching 700,000. With such a huge number of points, Xiaohan's Dantian was filled with thousands of immortal artifacts and Dharma treasures. There were offensive, defensive, special, all kinds of immortal talismans, immortal art manuals, elixirs. There were many of them. Xiaohan was now a moving treasure trove. However, Xiaohan also took a quick look around. There were so many treasures here. There were so many treasures that were suitable for his current state. Of course, if Xiaohan were to ascend and become a real immortal, then these treasures would come in handy. Compared to the treasures, Xiaohan was more concerned about the power of refinement. What did not disappoint Xiaohan was that at this moment, the power of refinement stored in Xiaohan's Dantian was like a vast ocean. It was also like a volcano filled with magma and energy that was about to erupt. Boom, boom, boom. A huge amount of refinement power surged within Xiaohan's body, shocking everyone. With so much refinement energy, it won't be a problem to break the restriction of the Supreme Battle Will Pill. When the time comes, I can use this Supreme Mental Power Immortal Pill to refine my mind and soul again. The solidified mental power planet will become more and more perfect. And my saber intent will also increase my attack power. Xiaohan was wild with joy. Soon after, Xiaohan said to the Black-White Child and Yu Yangzi, "Brothers, we're not in a hurry to hunt. Let's follow the old rules. We'll find a secluded place to settle down and digest what we've gained today." The Black-White Child and Yu Yangzi agreed with a smile. Xiaohan had gained a lot from this hunt, but the Black-White Child and Yu Yangzi had also benefited a little. It should be noted that the 7 immortals in Jiangzi's team had all been killed by the Black-White Child and Yu Yangzi together. These 7 immortals had followed the Son of Stars for a long time, and had killed many other immortals and gained a lot of benefits. Although none of the 7 immortals had refined immortal treasures or magic treasures, they were only a hair's breadth away. Each of them had tens of thousands of points. They also had a lot of magic treasures in their bodies. After splitting the 7 immortals' gains, the Black-White Child and Yu Yangzi's points were close to 200,000. "Brother Xiaohan, let's find a place to cultivate," the Black-White Child said with a smile. "With the newly obtained power of refinement in my Dantian, I can probably try to refine a second magic treasure." That's right. The immortals under the Son of Stars are all fat sheep. It felt so good to kill them just now. My points increased by tens of thousands. Ha ha ha. Yu Yangzi laughed. Yes. Xiao Han nodded slightly. There must be a lot of immortals under the Son of Stars' command. If we kill them one by one, the benefits will be indescribable. Ha ha ha. That Son of Stars is so smug and arrogant. It's still unknown who will emerge victorious. The three of them chatted and laughed. Soon they reached the sky above a vast ocean. Waves rolled. Brothers, let's go to the bottom of the sea, Xiao Han said with a smile. It would be harder for their tracks to be exposed if they went to the bottom of the sea. After all, it was more difficult for an immortal's immortal sense to search the bottom of the sea. Puff, puff, puff. The three of them dove into the sea and instantly sank to the bottom. The Son of Stars was so furious that he couldn't be any more furious. Frenzied rage and hatred burned him. In fact, Master Xing Qinzi's behavior had become extremely deranged. Hong, 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 immortal energy exploded everywhere. Wherever the Son of Stars passed, mountains were flattened, rivers evaporated, and plains were riddled with craters. It was a scene of devastation. The 9 immortals following Master Xing Qinzi were cowering in fear, not daring to approach Master Xing Qinzi, fearing that he would vent his anger on them. The 9 immortals also communicated with each other via soul transmission, trembling with fear. This is bad. This is going to stab the heavens. Jiangzi was Big Brother Star's personal pet, and he doted on her a lot. Now she's been killed? This is a direct affront to Big Brother Star's dignity. It's not that simple. You should know that Big Brother Star has gone to great lengths to train Jiangzi. Jiangzi already has a lot of points. Then he annihilated the team of immortals. His points were off the charts. I can't believe Xiao Han got his hands on so many points and so many treasures. This is intolerable. But it doesn't matter. Now that Xiao Han has offended Big Brother Star, he's dead for sure. The Son of Stars vented his rage for a full 2 hours. Only then did he calm down. His entire body went from moving to stillness, almost not moving an inch as he floated in the air. His face was ashen, and the muscles at the corners of his eyes twitched non-stop. In a low voice, he gritted his teeth and repeated Xiao Han's name. Xiao Han, good, very good, very good. Then, the Son of Stars glanced out of the corner of his eye at the 9 immortals cowering to the side. All right, come over here. Yes, Big Brother Star. The 9 immortals hesitated for a moment, then braced themselves and walked over to the Son of Stars. Xiao Han must die, the Son of Stars said coldly. I'll recall the remaining 8 teams and order them to surround and kill Xiao Han in the 4th region. Also, all of you, listen up. Do your best to hunt down Xiao Han. Also, spread my message to every corner of Region 4. Let the other immortal squads know that I'm going to offer a bounty. A bounty? The 9 immortals were stunned. Due to the death of Jiangzi and her immortal subordinates, there are only 90 people left in our team of 100. That means we have 10 slots to enter the arena. Listen up, send out my order. If any immortal in the 4th region captures Xiao Han and hands him over to me, I will grant him a slot to enter the arena. After a pause, the Son of Stars continued. Also, spread the word that Xiao Han has at least 500,000 points, and a few thousand magical items. If anyone is able to capture Xiao Han and bring him back for me to torture, not only will they be able to enter the arena, but they will also be able to take all of Xiao Han's points and magical items. The eyes of the 9 immortals lit up at his words. Big Brother Star, are you saying that whoever captures Xiao Han will get hundreds of thousands of points and several thousand treasures? The eyes of the 9 immortals burned with greed. Yes, the Son of Stars said with a wave of his hand. We have to capture Xiao Han at all costs. You're tempted too, aren't you? Alright, you can go as well. As long as you capture Xiao Han, I'll fulfill my promise. However, just do as I say and spread the news. There are at least a few thousand immortals in the 4th realm. I refuse to believe that Xiao Han will be able to escape their wrath. Master Xing Chen's expression was as fierce as ever. That's right. At night, in the 4th region, a bonfire burned brightly in a kernel. An immortal with a sword on his back stood with his hands clasped behind his back on a boulder. Immortal chi swirled around him like dragons and snakes. 310,000 points hovered above his head. He was also a man with an illustrious battle record. There were more than 30 immortals standing in the valley. Just now, the Son of the Stars ordered his subordinates to spread a piece of news. The Sword Immortal's voice was extremely sinister. It's said that a mortal named Xiaohan has snuck into the fourth realm. He has more than 500,000 contribution points and thousands of magical treasures. What? The immortals in the call exclaimed in shock. Boss, how is that possible? A mortal has more than 500,000 points? The sword immortal flicked his fingernails and said, starting tomorrow we'll search for Xiaohan. Yes, boss. In the fourth region. In the middle of a fertile farmland. Boom. The soil split open and a dozen black-robed immortals burst out of the earth. Each of them had more than 200,000 points, and all of them had signs that they had refined immortal weapons. Capture Xiaohan, the leader of the black-robed immortals said succinctly. The Son of Stars seems to have a deep grudge against Xiaohan. He's searching for him at all costs. Once we capture him, we'll be able to make a deal with him. All right. Capture Xiaohan. In just one night, the Son of Stars had spread the news of Xiaohan's bounty to the entire fourth region. Thousands of immortals had learned about it. Moreover, the news that Xiaohan had accumulated 500,000 points and several thousand treasures in his dantian had been exaggerated. Every immortal was envious, and the desire to capture Xiaohan grew in their hearts. They quickly put their desires into action. To be continued? Chapter 643. In the middle of a vast ocean. At the bottom of the sea. In this 10,000-meter deep underwater world, countless fishes were living and reproducing. The beautiful corals were glistening. At this moment, Xiaohan, Yu Yangzi and Heiheizi were sitting cross-legged at the bottom of the sea. Immortal qi was rising from their bodies. The immortal qi was flawless and extremely glorious, attracting countless fishes and prawns. Under the illumination of the immortal qi, the beautiful scenery of the ocean was revealed. Yu Yangzi and Heiheizi were using the power of refinement stored in their dantian to refine an auxiliary immortal treasure. Yu Yangzi refined a pair of battle boots that could move through the earth. In a life-and-death situation they could use it to escape. Heiheizi refined 5 one-time-use lightning strike talismans. These talismans could severely injure a level 3 true immortal. As for Xiaohan, the power of refinement stored in my dantian is surging and extremely huge. Now. Xiaohan's mind moved. The bottle of Supreme Battle Will pills trembled slightly. There were still 2/3 of the restrictions on the Supreme Battle Will pills that had yet to be broken. However, with Xiaohan's current control of the power of refinement, it was as easy as flipping his hand to break the restrictions and obtain this bottle of mental strength divine medicine. Boom, Xiaohan divided a small portion of the power of refinement and charged. Puchi. A crisp sound rang out. The restriction outside the Supreme Battle Will elixir cracked. At the same time, Xiaohan flipped his right hand and the bottle of Supreme Battle Will pills appeared in his palm. The bottle was simple and unadorned, engraved with some mysterious patterns. Within the bottle, there were a total of 10 divine medicines for tempering the soul and mental strength. Every single one. All of them were beneficial to the soul and mental strength. They were extremely nourishing and strengthening effects. These were immortal pills. Moreover, the quality of the immortal pills that appeared in the treasures of Immortal Emperor Judao was definitely extraordinary. These pills that specialized in tempering the soul and mental strength were extremely rare and precious even in the immortal world. Of course, this did not mean that the value of this bottle of Supreme Battle Will pills was higher than some immortal treasures. Pills that strengthened the soul and mental strength. It was indeed precious, but only immortals who cultivated the soul and psyche would be able to see the miraculous effects. Ordinary immortals who didn't cultivate the soul and psyche wouldn't need this bottle of pills. Not bad. Xiaohan held the medicine bottle in his hand. The solid mental energy star in his sea of consciousness seemed to be attracted by an irresistible temptation. It began to show signs of restlessness as waves of throbbing throbbed. I don't think I've used an immortal pill yet. Let's directly strengthen the soul and mental strength. Today, let's try out the profundities of the immortal pill. Xiaohan smiled with satisfaction. He gently uncorked the bottle. Immediately, a wave of heavenly qi floated out of the bottle and entered Xiaohan's nostrils. It also seeped into Xiaohan's pores, making him calm and relaxed. It was as if he had been reborn. Comfortable, Xiaohan sighed. Brother Xiaohan, this is a bottle of excellent quality immortal pills. Black and White Child and Yu Yangzi had obtained the auxiliary-type immortal weapons that they wanted through the power of refinement. They looked toward Xiaohan. Xiao Han nodded slightly and said, "Big brother Yu Yangzi, big brother black and white child, please protect me. I'm going to cultivate for a while." "Alright, no problem." Black and white child nodded and reminded them. "Brother Xiao Han, there are about 30 days left until the 100-day deadline of the 4th district qualifier. You must pay attention to the time limit." I know." Xiao Han nodded. Then black and white child stood up and spread their immortal senses to sense the surrounding situation. If there was any sudden situation, they would immediately take out their immortal weapons to protect Xiao Han. Xiao Han also opened the divine eagle's eye and looked at the situation above the sea. The sea was quiet. This allowed Xiao Han to cultivate peacefully. "Let's begin," Xiao Han murmured. Then he took out the first Supreme Battle Will pill from the bottle. This Supreme Battle Will pill was the size of a longan. It was the color of a colored glaze and had a fragrant aroma. On the surface it looked ordinary. However, if one used their mental strength to penetrate it, they would discover that the pill seemed to contain many strange and dazzling worlds. In these worlds there seemed to be the world of mortals. Time was like a song. There were emperors and generals. There were all kinds of people. There were dynasties and hegemony. This is too magical. Within this small pill, there seems to be countless cycles of life. There is joy, anger, sorrow and joy. There are spiritual illusions. If one's soul is slightly weaker, when one's mental strength penetrates into the pill and is affected by the medicinal effects, they might go crazy immediately. Just like that, Xiao Han had great confidence in this Supreme Battle Will pill. He had reason to believe that this magical pill could help him break through the bottleneck and break through the shackles. He would be able to cultivate the Extinguishing Heaven and Earth spiritual technique with irresistible force. This Extinguishing Heaven and Earth spiritual technique was one of the countless immortal talismans that were used to seal the demon egg. It was a heaven-defying cultivation technique. It was a mystical spiritual technique. This cultivation technique did not belong to the mortal world. It was a celestial technique. This Extinguishing Heaven and Earth spiritual technique was made up of a total of 28 sets of profound mental finger techniques. The 1st to 10th sets of mental finger techniques belong to the cultivation of transforming mental strength. The 11th to 20th sets of mental finger techniques belong to the cultivation of liquefying mental strength. The 21st to 28th sets of mental finger techniques belong to the cultivation of solidifying mental strength. Every time one completed a set of finger techniques for this Extinguishing Heaven and Earth spiritual technique, the strength of one's soul would transform by a bit. Finally, once one reached the 21st finger technique, they would produce a supreme state of solidifying mental strength. Solidifying mental strength, this was a step that allowed mental strength to turn from liquid to solid. The mental strength in the sea of consciousness condensed into a ball of mental strength. This ball of mental strength was like a star in the brain. As long as one cultivated to this point, even if their physical body was killed, they would not be affected at all. They could use the ball of mental strength to seize another body. Or perhaps they could reconstruct their physical body. The spirit did not die. Then it would never die. It was completely invincible. Moreover, at this point, one's spirit could travel through space and travel unhindered through the universe. They were not afraid of cosmic storms, cosmic black holes and other physical attacks. Furthermore, when one's mental strength was strong enough to reach a solid state, one's brain was like a star. Even a plane could be blown apart, using mental strength to blow up a plane. And now, Xiao Han's cultivation of the Extinguishing Heaven and Earth spiritual technique, S28 finger techniques had coincidentally reached the 21st finger technique, and he had reached the state of solidifying mental strength. Of course, Xiao Han's solidifying mental strength was still at the initial stage. When he was attacking the enemy, the solidified mental strength could imitate all kinds of weapons that were close to the quality of immortal weapons, killing the enemy. However, this kind of solidification was not enough to unleash too much power. He had to complete the 28th finger technique of the Extinguishing Heaven and Earth spiritual technique, and make this set of cultivation technique perfect. Only then would Xiao Han's mental strength be strong enough to traverse the universe, travel through space, not fear cosmic storms and not be swallowed by cosmic black holes. Right now, although Xiao Han's mental strength was solidified, if he released his mental strength into the vast universe, his soul would definitely scatter. Why did it say that Xiao Han had to cultivate the Extinguishing Heaven and Earth spiritual technique? to the perfect stage of the 28th finger technique before he could open the door to the ancient saber realm and cultivate the saber intent to the godly state. That was because when one's mental soul left their body, if it was not sturdy enough, it was very easy to get lost in the vast universe and be shattered by the chaotic cosmic energy flow. For example, Xiaohan had already faintly seen the door to the saber realm during his few cultivation sessions, but his soul could not get close to the door to the saber realm. There were too many dangers along the way. If he was not careful, his soul would be destroyed. To Xiaohan, continuing to cultivate the 22nd finger technique of the extinguishing heaven and earth spiritual technique, as well as the subsequent finger techniques, was something that he had to do. However, when Xiaohan completed the 21st finger technique, all his foundation was completely exhausted, and he was unable to make a breakthrough to the 22nd finger technique. Not only was he unable to make a breakthrough, but he was also far from it. Cultivating the 21st mental energy finger technique was fraught with difficulties. One had to complete at least 1,000,000 profound and obscure hand gestures in order to achieve perfection. Moreover, the completion of each hand gesture required a huge amount of accumulation and energy. When Xiaohan first completed the 21st finger technique, it was also full of ups and downs. If it was not because he fought with Kid, Naga, and the other geniuses, and swallowed their spiritual soul attacks, Xiaohan would not have had the foundation to break through to the 21st finger technique. However, breaking through to the 22nd finger technique was even more terrifying. This was because the 22nd finger technique was made up of tens of millions of hand seals. The difficulty of completing each hand seal, and the accumulation required for each hand seal, were all abnormal to the point of being ridiculous. At that time, Xiaohan was also prepared to break through to the 22nd finger technique without stopping, but he was unable to accumulate the foundation needed to break through to the 22nd finger technique. With the current strength of Xiaohan's soul, even if he refined the mental storm in the universe, the hallucinatory demonic realm, or even Kid and Naga's spiritual soul attacks, it would be difficult to obtain a satisfactory foundation. The boat rises with the tide. The higher the level of the soul, the greater the accumulation required. It could be said that in the secular world, there were no resources that could allow Xiaohan to continue to cultivate the extinguishing heaven and earth spiritual technique, and he would not be able to break through to the 22nd finger technique. However, if he obtained an immortal pill, then the situation would be different. An immortal pill that strengthens spiritual soul power. Very quickly Xiaohan gathered his thoughts, and the mysterious supreme battle will pill in his hand slowly entered his mouth. Xiaohan's eyes lit up as he muttered to himself. Right now, my spiritual soul is already stronger than most immortal souls. If I cultivate my soul again and break through to the 22nd finger technique or even the 23rd or 24th finger technique, my soul will ascend again. What kind of scene would that be? Xiaohan's heart was filled with anticipation. Impressively, after the supreme battle will pill entered his mouth, it instantly turned into a huge spiritual shock wave, directly entering Xiaohan's sea of consciousness. Cultivate. Xiaohan immediately formed the first gesture of the 22nd finger technique. To be continued. Chapter 644. Xiaohan swallowed a supreme battle will pill. A violent spiritual storm and spiritual sea swept into Xiaohan's sea of consciousness. Puqi. That crazy spiritual power immediately attacked the solid spiritual power planet in Xiaohan's sea of consciousness. Although the solid spiritual energy star was extremely sturdy, it was still a little dry. But at this moment, the sovereign battle will pellet had turned into waves of spiritual energy that crashed into the solid spiritual energy star, nourishing, solidifying, and strengthening it. This tide of psychic power, when broken down, was a drop of dark gold, extremely dense psychic liquid. Almost every drop of psychic liquid's quality was countless times better than the psychic storm and psychedelic demonic land that Xiaohan had refined. This kind of nourishment was simply indescribable. It was impossible to find such a treasure that nourished the soul and spiritual power in the human world. An immortal pill was indeed an immortal pill. Now Xiaohan's solid spiritual power planet was immersed in a sea of spiritual power. That refreshing, clear, and ethereal feeling was indescribable. Boom! A dazzling golden spiritual power halo directly seeped out from Xiaohan's forehead. In the blink of an eye, the ocean that Xiaohan was hiding in was dyed with a heavenly color. All the underwater creatures and plants were attracted by it and gathered around. Densely packed whales, sharks, and all kinds of fish rushed towards the area where Xiaohan was. However, it was not chaotic, these marine creatures. Under the illumination of spiritual power. It was magnificent. Moreover, they seemed to have undergone some kind of evolution as if they had intelligence. The marine plants also seemed to have absorbed the spiritual power and started to grow. Some corals that were a few meters long actually grew at a speed visible to the naked eye and grew tens of meters long. The colors were also brighter and full of vitality. In short, with Xiaohan as the center, the spiritual light had dyed the entire sea into a heavenly immortal world. It was as beautiful as a painting. This is... Black and White and Fish Stem were completely stunned. Brother Xiaohan is cultivating, What cultivation technique is he cultivating? Fish Stem stared at Xiaohan. This is definitely not a cultivation technique of the mortal world. It's not a cultivation technique of mortals, it's definitely an immortal technique, and it seems to be an immortal technique of the spiritual power. Yes. It should be a spirit and soul immortal art. The Black and White masters nodded in agreement. The shock that Brother Xiao gave us is simply too great. Even a mortal like him is stronger than us immortals. Not to mention that he's cultivating with the help of the immortal pill. He's bound to reach a higher level. Pausing for a moment, the black-white man said in a low voice. Once his soul power becomes stronger, Brother Xiaohan's cultivation speed will be faster than ours when he ascends to become an immortal. His future is limitless. At this moment, Xiaohan was in a state where he was completely indifferent to both praise and humiliation. He was in a supreme state where there was no one around him. His hands formed a series of hand seals. The difficulty of the 20-second spiritual finger incantation was extremely high. It was made up of extremely difficult and obscure hand gestures. Every single gesture required a tremendous amount of foundation as a guarantee. However, this sovereign battle will pellet was enough for Xiaohan to attempt the 20-second spiritual finger technique. Gradually, Xiaohan's hands began to dance in a dazzling manner, like two nimble butterflies. Following the movements of Xiaohan's hands, immortal talismans that seemed to be made of jade coiled around Xiaohan's body like dragons and snakes. The spiritual light that emanated from Xiaohan's sea of consciousness became more and more condensed, more and more intense. It had a feeling of being indestructible and indestructible. The Black and White masters and the Fish Stem were watching from the side. However, they did not forget to protect Xiaohan. Be careful, the Black and White master reminded. Brother Xiaohan's cultivation seems to have reached the most crucial moment. He must not be distracted. He must not be distracted. This is also a crucial moment. He cannot be taken advantage of by others. We must defend with all our might. I understand, the Fish Stem said cautiously. At this moment, Xiaohan's attempt at the 20-second spiritual finger technique was very smooth. The movements of his hands were synchronized with his spiritual power. With the help of the immortal pill, he did not encounter any bottlenecks during the cultivation process. It was like a hot knife through butter. With every completion of the hand seal, the spiritual power in his sea of consciousness would be consumed slightly. The solid spiritual power planet would become more solid and dazzling. 3 days later. Finally, the nourishment that the supreme battle will pill brought to Xiaohan's spiritual power was completely exhausted. Not a single drop was left. At the same time, the tens of millions of hand seals for the 20-second spiritual finger technique were completed. He had successfully completed the 20-second spiritual finger technique. The solidified spiritual power was even more profound. However, this successful breakthrough actually gave Xiaohan a feeling of returning to his natural state. Not only did his aura not change much, it became even more reserved, even more hidden. Phew, Xiaohan let out a breath of turbid air and stood up. He smiled at the Black and White master and the Fish Stem. Brothers, thank you for protecting me for the past 3 days and 3 nights. Brother Xiao, did you succeed? The Black and White master and the Fish Stem hurriedly asked. Even with the vision of immortals like them, they were unable to determine Xiaohan's condition. However, occasionally if they looked closely at Xiaohan's eyes, they would feel a sense of loss, as if they were about to be swallowed by Xiaohan's eyes. Indistinctly, the image of the planet and universe appeared in the depths of Xiaohan's eyes. In terms of the spiritual power realm, I had a little breakthrough. However, it is still not enough. The cultivation technique that I am cultivating is still far from reaching the great perfection realm, Xiaohan said humbly. At this moment, Although the solid spiritual power planet in Xiaohan's Sea of Consciousness did not change in size, its density had increased by 10 times. In other words, Xiaohan's soul spiritual power had increased by 10 times as compared to before. This was extremely terrifying. Moreover, as his spiritual power increased, Xiaohan's natal saber chi, saber intent, and lethality had also increased by several times. Now, let me test out my current combat power. The corner of Xiaohan's mouth curved into a smile. First, Xiaohan closed the divine eagle's eye and only used his soul spiritual power to radiate outwards. Its detection range had actually reached a radius of 50 miles. This was extremely shocking. Ordinary immortals, including Xing Qinzi, who was like a crane in a flock of chickens in the 4th region, their immortal senses could only cover an area of 3 to 4 miles. Before this, Xiaohan's soul spiritual power was comparable to an immortal's. However, in the 4th region, which was only a few miles, he had to use an auxiliary immortal treasure like the divine eagle's eye to increase the detection range to 20 miles. However, at this moment, Xiaohan did not need to use the divine eagle's eye. His soul spiritual power could already cover a radius of 50 miles. Great progress. This is great. After completing the 20-second spirit finger technique, the strength of my soul and spiritual power had indeed increased by more than 10 times. The detection range of 50 miles is enough to ensure that I am undefeatable. Xiaohan's face was glowing. In the next moment, the immortal chi between Xiaohan's eyebrows flashed. The divine eagle's eye had already appeared in Xiaohan's palm. Big Brother Black-White, Big Brother Fish Stem, this is an auxiliary investigative immortal treasure. The will restriction on the exterior has long been washed away by the power of refinement. Now you can refine it. You only need to drip a drop of blood on it to recognize its owner and wash away the trace of my spirit that I attached to the divine eagle's eye, Xiaohan said with a smile. Now Xiaohan's spiritual power was far enough to replace the divine eagle's eye. The divine eagle's eye can increase the detection range of spiritual power to 20 miles, Xiaohan added with a smile. Black and White Child and Fish Stem were shocked. They did not stand on ceremony. Fish Stem said, Big Brother Black-White, you have a calm personality. You can refine and control the divine eagle's eye. All right, Black-White did not waste time and took the divine eagle's eye from Xiaohan's hand. Brother Xiaohan, after I refine and control the divine eagle's eye, I will increase the detection range of my spiritual power. I will protect you and make sure nothing goes wrong. That's exactly what I mean. Xiaohan smiled and nodded. Then he willed it. Buzz, a strand of spiritual power was extracted from Xiaohan's Sea of Consciousness. It transformed into a dagger and appeared in Xiaohan's hand. This dagger was radiant and overflowing with color. It had a jade-like color and there were some profound patterns on it. Big brothers, take a look at the quality of this dagger. Xiaohan smiled and handed the dagger formed from his spiritual power to Black-White and Fish Stem to appraise. The two immortals took the dagger. This. Black-White's eyes lit up. Brother Xiaohan, this is an immortal artifact, right? Although it is not an extremely high-quality immortal artifact in the immortal world, it is considered very good for a level 1 or level 2 perfected immortal to possess such an immortal artifact. Black-White actually thought that the dagger formed from Xiaohan's spiritual power was an immortal artifact. Hee, Xiaohan laughed. Suddenly, the dagger in Black-White's hand twisted a few times and transformed into a ray of spiritual power. Xiaohan kept it back into his sea of consciousness. Hiss. This is... Black-White and Fish Stem were shocked. This dagger was formed from a strand of my spiritual power, Xiaohan said with a smile. Previously, after Xiaohan broke through the 21st spiritual finger gesture, the weapons formed from his spiritual power could only be close to the level of an immortal artifact, or at least reach the level of a low-grade immortal artifact. But now, a random dagger formed from his spiritual power was of the same quality as a level 1 or level 2 perfected immortal artifact in the immortal world. If Xiaohan was in battle, he could instantly use his spiritual power to form thousands of such daggers and shoot them at the same time. Ordinary immortals would be turned into beehives. Now, I can kill immortals with just my spiritual power without relying on the power of my immortal body. Xiaohan was very confident. To be continued? That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.